So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Kakashi gives Naruto his Sharingan. Full story. If you guys enjoy this, what if? Comment down below. And let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content. And leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And also share this video with your friends. And check out the description. And check out my playlist. So let's start the video. Chapter 1, Naruto of the Sharingan. The child no more than 6 was desperately running down the streets of Konohagakure no Sato, the village hidden in the leaves, breathing heavily. Why was he running, you ask? Well, this child was a little special. He was Uzumaki Naruto Jinchuriki of the greatest demon ever to walk the world. The Kyuubi no Yauko that attacked the village 6 years ago and caused massive destruction, killing many shinobi and civilians in the process, and it wasn't until Konoha's greatest hero and the strongest ninja in the village, the Yondaime Hokage Minato Namikaze, sacrificed to himself to seal the Kyuubi inside his newborn son Naruto. Sadly, few knew of his heritage, and the villagers and most of the shinobi of the village saw Naruto as the Kyuubi reincarnate, and not the one actually holding it back. Therefore he was hated, beaten, spit upon and lonely, since no one wanted to talk to him or help him for that matter. The young boy made a sharp turn to the left in order to shake the villagers currently pursuing the young child, while screaming things like, "Kill the demon brat. Time to end what the fourth started. And the occasional I'm gonna feed you to my pigs after I've sliced you up." Now the fourth had hoped that the villagers would see Naruto as a hero. Which they quite obviously didn't. The kid came to a stop as he came to a dead end, seeing no way out he turned and would have run back into the street were it not for the mob that had cut him off from his only escape route. One of the shinobi that occasionally joined the mobs threw a shuriken that embedded itself in the poor boy's chest and sent him plummeting to the ground coughing up blood. The villagers then closed in on him and with glee stabbed him, punched him, kicked him, and generally tried to create as much physical damage as possible on the young child. Said young child just cried and repeatedly whispered, "Why are you doing this? What did I ever do to you? I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." At that very instant the sound of 1,000 angry chirping birds was heard along with a cry of Rikiri lightning cutter, and then several dull thuds as some of the villagers fell, dead even before they hit the ground. In front of Naruto stood a tall man clad in a full Anbu getup with a dog mask and gravity-defying silver hair. His hand was crackling with electricity, and one of his eyes was crimson red with 3 swirling tomatoes in it. "By order of the Sandaime Hokage, all of you are under arrest." Anbu got them. Suddenly 10 masked cloaked persons appeared and knocked out the people and the sunshine body flicker away, leaving only the boy and the dog masked Anbu. The man kneeled down and picked up Naruto as he silently spoke. "Arigato Inu-san." While he couldn't see it, he could feel the man smile at him. "It's okay Naruto, no one is going to hurt you anymore." His voice was filled with confidence and reassurance, and Naruto felt that he could trust the man. "So? What happens now?" he asked in his tiny voice. The man's smile seemed to widen as he spoke his next words, the words that would forever change Naruto's life. "First I'm gonna take you to a hospital and make sure they treat you, then I'm gonna head to the Hokage, and then I'm gonna request that I be allowed to adopt you." Naruto's eyes widened so much they looked like they were gonna pop out of his skull. "See, seriously?" he asked shakily. "You want to adopt me?" He was really hoping that the man spoke the truth. If he lied, Naruto wouldn't be able to handle the disappointment. "Of course," the man answered happily. "After all, that's what big brothers do, right Naruto-kun?" the man said as he moved his mask revealing his face to the boy. Naruto's face lit up in recognition of Kakashi Niasen. He shouted happily and would have moved to glomp the older man had his body not been racked with wounds. Alright, let's get you to the hospital before you kill yourself," he said with a sigh. He already knew this was gonna be one hell of a hassle. After dropping Naruto off at the hospital and promising them untold amounts of pain should they refuse to treat him right, Kakashi made his way to the Hokage's office and marched right on through, ignoring the secretary and kicking in the office doors as he slammed his hands onto the Hokage's desk. "Hokage-sama, I want to adopt Naruto. He's suffered way too much already, and as his father's student, I should be more than qualified for the task." He nearly shouted into the older man's face. He was half expecting to be turned down, since many of the jounin in the village had tried to adopt Naruto just to get shot down by Danzo and the despicable civilian council. Therefore, the Sandaime Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi's answer was quite unexpected. "Very well, I already have the adoption papers ready for you, all you need to do is sign them and we're good to go." "Listen, I don't care what the council says." "Wait, what? I thought the council refused to let Naruto get adopted." Kakashi was surprised. The third smiled knowingly. "Naruto-kun is like a grandson to me, and I have let this village step on Minato's last wish and myself long enough. Worry not about the council, I'll deal with those fools. They shall learn why I am called the Shinobi no Kami." The old man started as a fire that had long been thought doused burned brightly in his eyes. Kakashi smiled, it seemed that they finally had their Hokage back. 3 years later, Naruto panted heavily as he stared down the group of shadow clones he was currently sparring in Taijutsu with. To his left 100 clones were practicing advanced chakra control, and to his right 100 additional shadow clones were practicing the katas associated with his Shakudo, straight single-edged sword without guard, the same kind as Sasuke uses in Shippuden. His observations was cut short as the 10 shadow clones in front of him spread out to cover all sides and then charged at him, some with their fists poised and ready to crack open his skull, while others had kunai, and 2 of them had even drawn their Chikudo. The first one came from the left and tried to bash in Naruto's skull, but he tilted back and grabbed the outstretched arm, and then in one deft move, cut the clone in 2 with his sword. Just as 3 others closed in, Naruto quickly dropped to the ground and kicked 2 of them far up in the air. He then sweep kicked the last clone's feet out from under him. Naruto quickly got on his feet and punched the still falling clone hard in the stomach, not missing a beat. He grabbed the 2 airborne clones by their ankles and smashed them into the ground, making them disappear, as well as the one he had punched square in the stomach. The last 6 charged from the front weapons drawn. Naruto dropped low and in a blur flashed through the hand seals sucking in wind as he called out his technique. Pain. Kakashi no Jutsu. An enormous fireball erupted from his mouth and connected with a group of clones, easily destroying them. But the sigh he fell on his ass trying to catch his breath. He had been sparring with the shadow clones for hours, and even with his chakra reserves, the Kaiten. Kakashi no Jutsu cost him a lot of chakra. He was after all only 9, and for a 9-year-old being able to do an elemental as well as being able to spar for hours were quite impressive. He was even aware of his 3 affinities. Wind, lightning and fire. He had indeed come quite a long way since Kakashi Niasen had adopted him, he mused. Right now he was home alone as Kakashi was on another mission, this time it was an S rank, and along with a squad of the best Anbu in Konoha he had left about a week ago. Still, Naruto didn't get lonely, since the other Jounin would come train with him. He especially liked training with Mido Guy and his apprentice who was a year older than Naruto, Rock Lee. Him and Lee had instantly become friends and helped each other when they learned Goke and Strong Fist from Guy. Naruto had no doubt that Lee could become a great ninja only with Taijutsu. He also enjoyed training with Asuma. The man was skilled and helped him with his wind manipulation. He had even taught Naruto how to channel his wind chakra into his sword, since it was made of a material that could be used to enhance the chakra channel through it. He preferred this over his lightning channeling, as the wind chakra was invisible, making it easy to catch the opponent off guard. He was brought out of his musings as his skull felt like it was gonna crack. Typical. Of course his clones had to dispel all at the same freaking time. And they did it just so that he'd have a headache, damn bastards. He groaned as he willed his worn-out body to move as he got his stuff and headed home. He caught sight of himself in the mirror of one of the shops in the business district and liked what he saw. About a year after he had been adopted by Kakashi Niasen III had called Kakashi and Naruto to the Hokage Tower, and there something amazing had happened. Flashback. Kakashi and Naruto walked into the office of the strongest man in Konoha. As he sat with a contemplative look on his face, he snapped himself out of it and asked them to take a seat. Once they were seated, the old man begun. Naruto, what I am about to tell you is an S-class secret that must not leave this room. His voice was serious, but his mask of seriousness fell at Naruto's next words. Are you talking about the Kyuubi, old man? Cause I already know about it and I even met it a few months ago. Pleasant fellow when you get past all the death threats, he said as if they were discussing the weather. The third sweat dropped at that. I see. Then moving on, I believe it's time you know about your parents, Naruto-kun. This caught his attention completely. He knew next to nothing about his parents, only that they were great ninjas. Your mother's name was Kushina Uzumaki, also known as the Red Death. One of the greatest specialists ever to grace the earth and a fearsome woman, he said as he showed Naruto a picture of a woman with long beautiful red hair and violet eyes smiling at the camera with a hand on her belly that showed clear signs of pregnancy. As for your father, Naruto, your father's name was Minato Namikaze. The third looked at Naruto for a reaction as tears fell from the young boy's eyes. My father was the 4th Hokage. That's so cool. He exclaimed happily. The third was slack-jawed. So you don't hate him for sealing the Kyuubi inside you? Nope, Naruto said with his trademark grin. I know he had a good reason for doing so, besides I'm too awesome to bear grudges. Both the third and Kakashi chuckled at that. Now Naruto-kun, the reason why you were never told was that your father still has enemies, especially in Iwok. Naruto nodded his understanding as the third continued. Now for your inheritance. Your mother left the katas for her Kenjutsu style, as well as her Chikudo. Tensa Zangetsu. No, this is not gonna be a Bleach X over. The name is just cool, so I chose it. Cool. But old man. What happened to my mom? The third sighed. She died protecting you from an attack by the Kyuubi after Minato had sealed half its chakra, so you see you were loved by both your parents. Naruto smiled and wiped away some tears before they fell. He then examined the sword and was awestruck by its beauty. The sword was a masterpiece. The scabbard was black with red and white symbols resembling flames reaching from the tip all the way up to the handle, which were white with the same pattern only with red and black flames. Both the sword and the handle was longer than a normal, though not by much. It also lacked a guard, something the old man told him was common for a chikudo. The blade itself had a beautiful unscarred silver color, making it look like it was never used. He frowned. "Hey old man. It feels like there's something special about the metal, but I don't really know what." Here Kakashi decided to speak up. "It's a special brand of metal that amplifies the power of the chakra affinity you channel into it, something I'll teach you later. It also has the power to cut through most regular metal like a knife through butter." Naruto looked at the blade in awe. "But how do you know the Kakashi Niasen?" Kakashi looked like he was remembering something when he spoke. "My father had an Injado of the same metal that earned him his name Konoha's White Fang, but it broke during the war. Since it wasn't as strong as Kushina's, it's quite a rare metal, so you'll probably never meet anyone with a weapon like it." Here the old man started again. "Along with the Kyuubi seal Minato also placed a seal on you that changed your physical appearance, but I believe it is time to end it now." Flashback end. And change he did, before he had due to malnutrition been smaller than most kids his age. But that wasn't the case. Now he stood almost a head higher than all of his peers. The only one coming close to him was Sasuke by half a head. His body had become muscle due to both the seal getting removed and because of his training. He had lost the baby fat and he were now a bit more chiseled, but it was his face that had changed the most. The whisker-like marks on his cheeks had grown longer and had moved. Now they started at his collarbone and went all the way up and stopped just as they reached his face. His face was devoid of all baby fat and were more chiseled as his muscles were. His eyes had changed dramatically, or at least one of them had. His left eye was still the beautiful ocean blue that made it look like a sapphire, but his right had become green. A beautiful azure green that had the same depth as his other eye. It looked like someone had taken two beautiful gems and stuck them into his face. His hair, however, was the thing that had changed the most. It was now orange. The warm orange color that the third had said was because of his mother being a redeed and his father being a blonde, thus red plus yellow equals orange. Think Ichigo's hair color. It had white highlights and streaks of blood going through it. He had let his hair grow out and therefore it now reached his mid-back. It was tied in a low ponytail. His bangs were now grown out to the collarbone and were crimson in color. Due to the Kyuubi it made his hair look like a fire slowly freezing because of the white highlights. It now spiked downwards instead of upward, but he made sure to keep the front hair in check so that it didn't go into his eyes. All in all he looked quite handsome, especially since Kakashi had knocked some reason into him and his wardrobe. He now wore dark blue or black, but all in the same Anbu style. Shaking himself from his musings he went home and prepared dinner. Little did he know that in the hours to come, he would inherit power so great that it hadn't been seen since Uchiha Madara. Later that night, Naruto had just cleared the table and was preparing for bed when an Anbu appeared in front of him. "Haddock Naruto, Hokage-sama requests your presence in his office immediately." After the message was delivered the Anbu shunShin body flicker, away leaving Naruto alone. He quickly closed off the house and Sunshine D to the tower. He was greeted with a scene that held an atmosphere of death. The third looked up, his eyes filled with sadness as he said, "Ah Naruto-kun, good you're here, this is about you, my child." The boy looked around. In the corner stood a tall man with long white hair and a ridiculous outfit with sadness painted all over his face. Next to him stood a beautiful blonde woman who looked to be 25 in a rather unassuming, if you looked away from the kimono-style blouse that eagerly showed off her cleavage of coarse attire with a grass-green robe with the kanji for gamble on the back and a huge bust, and next to her a dark-haired lady with a small pig in her arms. They all looked at him wide-eyed at his appearance, and a faint blush made its way on the two women's faces. The old man. "So what can I do for you? You know you better have a good reason for calling me so late." Hiruzen smiled sadly and then spoke. "Naruto-kun. Kakashi's team just came back from their S-rank mission. I'm so sorry Naruto. He didn't make it. Kakashi is gone." Naruto's eyes widened as tears started forming in his eyes. "And no, he wouldn't just leave me like that. He wouldn't." Naruto fell to his knees as he sobbed, unable to stop a steady flow of tears that racked his body. After what seemed like hours he finally got himself together. The third spoke. "Naruto, well Kakashi didn't make it, something of his did," he said as he withdrew a scroll. "This is Kakashi's will and a scroll containing his two prized, the Chidori and the Rikiri, both of which are for you, and in his will, he has one last present for you." Naruto looked at him in confusion as he gripped the scroll tightly. "He has decided that you should be the one to receive his Dojutsu. He has given you his Sharingan." Naruto's eyes widened when he heard that. Kakashi Niasen Sharingan. Indeed, apparently Uchiha Shisui, one of Kakashi's best friends, went traitor on the mission and Kakashi had to kill him. If what I've read is true, he awakened the second stage of the Sharingan, the Mangekyo Sharingan, because of this. And some files I found way back when I read about the Uchiha's history and their Kekkei Genkai, and after snooping around I found information about both the Mangekyo Sharingan and the extremely powerful Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. You see, while the Mangekyo Sharingan is powerful, it leads the user to blindness each time it is used. Furthermore, to awaken it, one must slay a person precious to you. But by taking a sibling's Mangekyo Sharingan you can forever avoid the blindness. Shisui was the brother of Uchiha Obito, the one whom Kakashi received his Sharingan from. I have also found out that before they left the village Shisui killed his best friend Aburam named Mibiki and awoke his Mangekyo Sharingan. Naruto, I want you to get Kakashi's eye implanted and then we'll implant both of Shisui's eyes into your one eye. I don't know what'll happen, but it might just give you an even greater power than that of the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. This woman, he gestured towards the beautiful blonde, is my old student Senju Tsunade of the Sannin and a medical genius, and she has agreed to do the surgery so that you'll be able to get a Sharingan that drains as little chakra as an Uchiha's and also will be able to turn it off. He bowed to her arigato Tsunade-sama. She blushed and hurriedly waved him off. It's fine. Prepare yourself Naruto, I'll commence the surgery tomorrow. He nodded and after saying goodbye headed home. He could tell that this was gonna be a week, but at least that pretty woman Tsunade would be there, he thought with a smirk. Chapter 2. It's already been 6 years, huh? Naruto thought as he gazed at the full moon. It had indeed been 6 years since he had received Kakashi's eye, and a lot had happened in those 6 years. When he had been 10, Uchiha Itachi had slaughtered all of his clan and had then left Konoha not being heard from since. His skills had also rapidly grown, making him the strongest genin in Konoha even without his Sharingan. His Taijutsu was amazing, something easily acquired when you spend a lot of your childhood with Psycho Bushibrow Jr. and Sr. His Kenjutsu was also ridiculously great, and he could easily match Izuki Yugao and Heiichi Gekko, the two greatest swordsmen in the village, in a sword fight. His Genjutsu was also excellent thanks to his Sharingan. Without it he knew he would be completely hopeless in this area. His ninjutsu was his greatest strength along with his Kenjutsu. He had become amazing in this area, having several high levels. His stamina and chakra capacity had only grown, making him an almost unending pool of energy, perfect for the highly consommé techniques of the evolved Sharingan. His natural speed and strength was amazing, especially his speed was breathtaking. Even his hand seal speed had grown rapidly. All of this was thanks to the wonder of the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu, the first technique Kakashi had taught him when he had it first gotten adopted. He had also studied a lot in Fuinjutsu and had made a seal he was quite proud of. This seal prevented any Sharingan from copying his unless he allowed it, meaning he was the only wielder of the Chidori, 1000 birds, and its more powerful version Raikiri Lightning Cutter. He had also managed to master the principles of lightning manipulation, the ability to invoke the techniques without needing seals and develop a number of other lightning release, most of which are derived from the Chidori. He had also grown physically, standing at 170 centimeters. He had kept his hair the same length as to not have it getting in the way during a fight. His hair also looked the same, only being even spikier and the different colors becoming even stronger than before. His face was even more chiseled and his body had become muscled and he now had a six-pack. Not that he had aimed to get one. Really. Not at all. He was now a regular heartbreaker, especially with the older women of the village. He wore a black sleeveless shirt showing off his arms, he had a light vest over the shirt, and he wore the standard Anbu-style pants only in a dark blue color, and with black shinobi sandals. The vest were black with gold trim. He also wore two fingerless gloves in blue and green, a homage to his unusual eye colors. He also wore a band over his right eye, or his Sharingan eye as he called it. When the third had asked him about this due to the fact that he could turn the Sharingan on and off at will, courtesy of Tsunade's handiwork, he had said it was as a tribute to his dead big brother figure. The band looked like Kakashi's only without the Konoha Hittite, since he wasn't an official ninja yet. His Shakudo was as always hanging behind him, fastened to his shinobi-style belt. It hangs in the same fashion as Sasuke's Dozen Shippuden. The thing he had grown most in, however, was the use of his PEMS Perfect Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, as the old man had dubbed it, as it seemed the fusing of 3 Mangekyo Sharingan in one eye had created a Sharingan even stronger than the EMS. He normally just called it the Perfect Sharingan. He had mastered all the techniques possible. Amaterasu, Tsukiyomi, Susanoo, Kamui Hell. He even had a good idea of how to use Izanagi, should the need arise. Something completely extraordinary was the fact that he had developed a new Kekkei Genkai by adding shape manipulation to Amaterasu's flames, thereby creating blaze release. He also had a mutual agreement with the Kyuubi. He had changed his mindscape and would regularly provide the fox with vixens, food and other stuff. In return, the fox would lend him some chakra should the need ever arise. All in all, this meant Naruto could match most Jonin without his Sharingan and easily overpower any and all Jonin with his Sharingan active. He had also inherited some of Kakashi habits. One was reading, though he didn't read smut like Kakashi did. While he wasn't always seriously late, whenever he screwed up he would make up an extremely lousy excuse or simply blame someone else for his mistakes. He pulled himself from his musings as he remembered he would have to hurry up, today they would be assigned teams. He has already passed the exam here, no Mizuki incident, and he aced it all. He got dressed and made his way to his kitchen, and after making breakfast headed to the academy. Standing at the entrance was Uchiha Saskei Shippuden clothes, but without the Irachi team's bow tie beltinji and without the sword. In this he uses chakra-trenched knives. Naruto and Sasuke were friends, or at least as friendish as you could be with an emo Avenger whose vocabulary consisted of H and still. With Naruto's cheerful but lazy attitude, he managed to befriend Sasuke quite easily, and they were tied for Rookie of the Year. They were like water and fire, complete opposites, yet they mixed without a problem. Morning Sasuke. Ready for another thrilling day of fangirl dodging? Sasuke cringed at the mentioning of his and Naruto's fan base of annoying girls. Man. It would be so cool if we could be on the same team. Naruto exclaimed as he reached into his vest pocket and withdrew a book titled Fuinjutsu for Advanced Users. With practiced ease he found the page he had reached and started reading on an advanced storage seal. As soon as they entered the classroom they were greeted with countless kiai. Sasuke-kun and I love you Naruto-kun. Naruto shivered in fright as he and Sasuke quickly made their way to their usual table and sat down as far up against the window as possible as to prevent fangirls sitting with them. Unfortunately Sasuke's number one fangirl Haruno Sakura managed to drop down right in the middle of them, effectively getting to sit by her precious Sasuke-kun. Aheyo, Sasuke-kun. Do you miss me? She said, or more like shrieked with her loud voice. Sasuke tried as best he could to ignore her and stare into the wall beside him. Naruto was desperately trying not to laugh at his best friend's expense until a pair of slender arms draped around his neck and someone pressed their chest against his back. Morning Naru-kun, Ino whispered into his ear. Naruto sank deeply. Morning Ino-chan, how are you today? He asked shakily, just as she was about to answer. Iruka nearly kicked the door open and slammed his papers onto the desk. Once again nobody really paid attention to him, much to his chagrin. Alright, that's enough. Sit down and shut up. Iruka roared using his demon head no jutsu to its fullest, and instantly the class became quiet. Thank you. Now I want you all to know that I'm proud of you, you're all talented and have graduated with a combined score of the highest class of all time, something you should be proud of. Now go forth and become this generation's greatest shinobi. He said with a great amount of pride in his voice. Alright, listen up, the teams will be as following. Team 10 will consist of Nara Shikamaru, Akamichi Chouji and Yamanaka Ino. Your sensei will be Saratobi Asuma. Troublesome, Marks, what? Then I don't get to be with Naruto-kun. Inside his head Naruto was making a little victory dance, while at the same time thanking God for giving him Iruka-sensei. Team 9 is still in circulation from last year, so Team 8 will be Inyazuka Kiba, Aburam Shino, Hyuga Hinata and Haddock Naruto. Your sensei is Yuhi Kurenai. Alright. Affirmative, H-hi, H-huh. What? I wasn't sleeping sensei, I swear. I was meditating. Naruto blurted out. BTW. In this fic Hinata doesn't love Naruto, they have a really close brother and sister-like relationship. And Team 7 will be Uchiha Sasuke, Sai and Haruno Sakura. Sakura screamed, Sasuke yelled, I just sweat dropped, your sensei will be Yamato. Good luck to you all, and make me proud. And with that he left the classroom leaving the students to find their teams. This is so cool. Kiba exclaimed, we get to be with the one who's tied with Sasuke for Rookie of the Year. Naruto smiled, it seems like I already have a reputation to live up to, huh? Wonder what he would say if he knew I never use more than 25% of my full strength. And that's without the Sharingan. Haddock-san, Kiba-san, Hinata-san, with your abilities combined with mine, I believe we will become a tracking and locating unit extraordinary. Naruto and Kiba just stared at him wide-eyed. What? Is there something in my face? No, it's just. I don't ever think I've heard you talk that much in one sentence. Kiba nodded. I have never seen any reason to speak if not asked first, but we are now a team and must learn to communicate and cooperate effectively. Kiba, Naruto and Hinata smiled at Gotcha. They then proceeded to tell each other about themselves and their specialties. 5 minutes later a beautiful young woman with red eyes and long dark hair entered the classroom. Team 8, you're with me. The 4 teenagers followed the young woman out of the academy. Alright, first of all we need to get to know each other, so let's get something to eat and then tell about ourselves. Wahoo. Food. I like you already. Kiba exclaimed half drooling. The rest of the team just sweat dropped and with that they made their way to the local dango stand. They placed their orders and Naruto made a subtle genjutsu to make sure they would even take his order of food. After their food arrived they began. I'll go first. My name is Inyazuka Kiba, I like to take walks with Akamaru, training and Hinata-chan. I dislike things that aren't chewy and cats. In battle I fight with Akamaru and my family. Then I'll go next. My name is Aburam Shino, I like insects and looking for new insects and bug species. I dislike tofu and fire along with bright sunlight. In combat I use my bugs and my family, Shino stated in monotone. Well then I guess it's my turn. Then Naruto smiled at her and under the table, Kiba took her hand encouraging her. Hinata took a deep breath and steeled herself. My name is Hyuga Hinata, I like cinnamon rolls, Kiba-kun, Naruto Nyasan, Shino-san and flower pressing. I dislike people who look down on others and ists. In combat I use my Kekkei Genkai Byakugan and my family's Taijutsu style Jiken. Then, allow me, my name is Yuhi Kurenai. I like drinking tea and spending time with my friends. I dislike perverts, ists and arrogant snobs. My hobbies are making genjutsu and painting. In combat I use my genjutsu. It's my turn then. My name is Haddock Naruto. I like pizza, training, meditating and reading. I dislike people who don't stand up for themselves, traitors, and people that use others for their own personal goals. While I am skilled in pretty much everything, my specialties are kenjutsu and ninjutsu. I'm also extremely skilled with my Kekkei Genkai. BHH. You have a Kekkei Genkai. Kiba yelled wide-eyed, but you never showed us at the academy. Of course not. It was never necessary to reveal it, therefore I kept it a secret. So? What kind of Kekkei Genkai do you have? I wanna know. Kiba whined, still you could easily feel he wasn't the only curious one. Naruto sighed, what I'm about to show you is something you can never speak of without my permission, alright. At the 4 nods he sighed again and moved his headband, revealing his green eye. 4 gasps were heard as his eye started spinning and then calmed down, revealing a red eye with 3 tomos connected in a circle. Sharingan Kurenai breathed out, but how? You aren't an Uchiha. Naruto smiled. I got this from Kakashi Nyasan, the man that adopted me a long time ago. He died on an S-rank mission, and I inherited his Sharingan, he explained. Wow. So it's like Sasuke's. Nope, mine has 3 tomos making it more developed than Sasuke's, besides Sasuke don't have a Kanpeki Sharingan like mine. Kanpeki Sharingan? Naruto then spent the next half an hour explaining to them the different forms of the Sharingan and about his own. Cool. Can we see it? Pretty please. Kiba begged while making puppy dog eyes. Sure, but stop. It doesn't look cute at all. It actually looks kind of creepy, that Kiba just pouted. Naruto breathed and then whispered Kanpeki Sharingan. Naruto's Sharingan started spinning madly before settling down. The 4 spectators gasped loudly as they took in the new eye. The normal red color was now black and covered by 3 overlapping ellipses giving it 6 points, the design was red. Around the pupil was a shuriken-looking design. The pupil in the middle was slit like an animal. The ellipse design was glowing red. Think Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan with Kakashi's Mangekyo Sharingan around the pupil in the middle. The pupil in the middle is slit like Naruto's eyes become when he uses the Fox Chakra. Whoa. That's so cool. So, what can it do? Naruto smiled, that'll have to wait till another time, but I will say that its power dwarfs any other Kekkei Genkai in existence. Kurenai spoke up, alright, listen up, tomorrow we'll meet at training ground 8 at 9 sharp. There, you'll take the real Genin exam. Eh? The real Genin exam? But we already passed the academy test. Kurenai smiled darkly. Did you really think it'd be that easy? Oh no, that was only to find out who gets a shot at Genin, the real test will be given by me. And just so you know, this test has a 66% failure chance, and those that don't pass will have to go back to the academy for another year. Well, see you tomorrow, and with that she shunshed it away, leaving the 4 Genin hopefuls alone. Seems she left the check to us. Very clever, Naruto drawled out lazily. He noticed Kiba's nervous expression. Mama, don't worry Kiba-kun, I won't let any of you guys fail, alright. Kiba seemed to get back his hope as he looked into Naruto's confidence-filled eyes. You sure, Naruto-kun? I mean, she is a jounin and all. Naruto smiled. Don't worry, even without my Sharingan I'm strong. Besides, if we work together she won't know what hit her. The 3 other members of the soon-to-be teammate smiled at Haddock Taicho. They chorused, Haddock Taicho? Shino decided to explain. Hi, you are the rookie of the year, you are strong, clever and a good leader, therefore we have decided that you are the leader when we are not under Kurenai-sensei's orders. Naruto blushed a bit. I see. Well, don't worry. I'll make sure your faith isn't misplaced. Naruto said, for once not being lazy or sarcastic. Now listen up. This is what we'll do tomorrow. Training ground 8 the next day. Alright, now remember, she's a genjutsu specialist, so we can't be sure about anything we see, okay? Naruto asked. They all nodded their agreement. At that moment Kurenai appeared. It's good to see you're all here, so let's begin. Your objective is to locate and apprehend me before the day is over, understood? They all nodded. Very good, now. Begin. And with that she disappeared into the surrounding forest. Yosh, Shino, did you place it on her? Hi Taicho, we can commence the tracking immediately, Shino said. Good. Kiba, do you and Akamaru have her scent? Of course Taicho. Naruto breathed. Good. Kiba, you and Hinata will make up one team, me and Shino the other, we'll split up so that she'll have 2 groups to worry about. When we locate her, Shino's bugs will drain her chakra and Hinata will use her Jiken to close her and make sure she won't be able to do anything else. Me and Kiba will serve as distractions to allow you two to subdue her, alright? Hi Taicho. They yelled and then split up, ready to capture their sensei and become a true genin team. Naruto and Shino arrived at a small clearing, seeing their sensei standing in the middle of it, her eyes observantly watching the forest. "Ready, Shino?" he asked. Shino nodded. "Well then, here I go," and with that he drew 10 shuriken and threw them with pinpoint accuracy, only for his sensei to dodge at the last second. He drew his sword and charged her as she parried with her 2 kunai. They began a deadly dance as Naruto kept winning ground against her. "I've been on the defensive since we started. His kenjutsu really is something else." Kurenai thought as she dodged another sword strike, only to get the air blown out of her as Kiba and Akamaru came charging from nowhere and hit her from the side. She was about to cast a genjutsu when she found she couldn't draw out any chakra. The hell? How come I circa she was drawn from her thoughts once again as she heard the sound of insects buzzing Kakashi. But since when? In a blur, Hinata dashed out from the darkness of the forest and hit their sensei with several strikes to the chest and abdomen and knocked her into a tree. Before she could react, she had a blade and several kunai aimed at her neck. The target was confirmed, Yuuhi Kurenai, Naruto said with a smile. Kurenai smiled as he withdrew into Shino. "Congratulations. You all pass. It's with great pleasure I hereby appoint you as the new teammate." Chapter 3. Naruto was currently angry. Very angry. Why was he angry, you ask? Because he and his team had spent the last 3 hours getting their asses kicked. While Naruto was strong, he knew he wasn't unbeatable. It did however hurt his pride that the one that kicked his ass was a cat. Yes, a cat, more specifically the demon cat of evilness. Tora, the daimyo's wife's cat. It had scratched teammate beyond recognition. It was therefore with great glee that they watched as the cat was crushed by its owner. "Suffer, evil monster cat. Suffer." Mwahaha. Naruto thought with glee. "Ha. That'll teach ya. Damn stupid feline, almost scratched my face off. That's why I prefer dogs." Kiba thought angrily. "For once. I enjoy seeing a creature suffer," Shino thought in a rare show of emotion. Kurenai and Hinata's sweat dropped as you could almost see the malicious aura coming off the 3 males. Anyways, that's yet another mission completed by teammate, Kurenai said, turning her attention back onto the sandame. "No, old man, can't we please get a C rank mission? We're tired of these ridiculous choirs," Naruto said, not looking up from his new book Advanced Medical Knowledge. Pressure points while he was chewing on it, it was something he had seen a Konoha shinobi do and he thought it looked badass, and since then it had become a habit. "Here is inside. Well, I do have a C rank escort mission, but only if your sensei believes you're ready for it." Kurenai nodded, she hated D ranks as much as her genin did. "My team is more than ready, they are without a doubt the strongest genin team in Konoha. They'd even give Guy's team a run for their money." Hiruzen smiled such confidence. "Very well, you may come in now." He said the last part to the door as their client entered. The man looked to be in his late 50s and he was holding on to a sake bottle tightly. "I am the super bridge builder Tazuna-sama." "Wait. These are the super genin tasked with protecting me. They look okay, I guess. Except for that dog boy. He looks like a super brat. I mean the hell, kid. Leave your pets at home, will ya?" The old man was completely oblivious to the killing intent coming from Kiba and from Hinata. She was pissed at him as well. Who does he think he is? Insulting her, Kiba-kun. "Why are you so drunk? I oughta kick your ass." Kiba screamed as he charged the old man. He was however caught by the collar by Naruto, with the hand not holding on to his precious book. "Mama, Kiba-kun, we can't have you kill the client now, can we?" He let go of Kiba and looked at Tazuna. "As for you, Tazuna-san, you should know that Kiba-kun is of the Inuzuka clan, one of Konoha's greatest clans who specializes in tracking and combat with their canine companions, which means Kiba-kun is a first-class ninja and is almost impossible to ambush." Tazuna was slack-jawed, the dog boy was that great. Also, that lazy kid seemed to be quite unique too. Furthermore, Naruto continued, "You shouldn't insult your bodyguards." Tazuna-san, to accentuate his point, he grabbed a pencil from one of his vest pockets, he uses them to write down notes in his books, and charged it with electricity, he then flung it at Tazuna as it easily made its way through the wall right next to Tazuna's head. "Are we clear, Tazuna-san?" he asked in a lazy voice with an undertone of something dangerous. "CC crystal clear," Tazuna stuttered out. Kurenai sighed. "Naruto. Don't threaten the client, alright?" At his nod she continued, but not before hearing him mutter. "I never get any fun, do I?" She smiled. "Alright, team. You have half an hour to pack and then meet at the village gates. Now. Move out." "Hi, sensei." And with that the 4 genin sunshine away. 15 minutes later. Naruto had finally gotten everything packed and was currently examining himself in his mirror. His normally black sleeveless shirt was now crimson in color. He had wrapped bandages around both his arms all the way from the shoulders to his wrists. He now wore only one fingerless glove on his left hand as he used his sword and the Rikiri with his right hand, and wearing a glove would only shred it due to the density of the lighting chakra. The new glove was green on the right side and blue on the left. In the middle of it was a red circle with 3 tomatoes, a tribute to all 3 of his eye colors. His vest covered his whole torso ending just where his pants began. It was black with a red design that looked like lightning spreading all over the vest. It also had a hood. He wore Anbu-style pants in dark blue, with a black flame design coming from the end of the 2 legs and spreading up the pant leg. He also wore white ninja-style sandals. He had updated his shinobi-style belt a lot. Now not only did it hold ninja wire and explosive notes, but also 2 pouches with, and at the hips it was fashioned as to hold 2 folded Fuma shuriken. His kunai pouch was at the right thigh and his shuriken pouch at his left thigh. His shakudo is always hang in his belt. Over it all he had a black cloak with a red flame design and a dark blue lightning design. The reason why I'm explaining in detail is because this'll be his outfit for much of the story minus cloak of course. Satisfied with his new look, he made sure he had everything packed and then holstered his backpack over one shoulder. He then sent Sunshine to the Inyazuka compound to pick up Kiba. He arrived at the compound gates and the guards immediately let him in. Teammate minus Kurenai would usually train, make strategies and just hang out at each other's houses. Even the Hyugas accepted when they were there, but they mostly used the Inyazuka compound since it was big and the Inyazukas was friendly. He hurriedly made his way to Kiba's room and prayed to all the gods that Kiba's sister Hana wasn't awake. It seems like the beautiful woman had a thing for Naruto, calling him alpha and stuff like that. Unfortunately the gods weren't with him today, as 2 slender arms suddenly made their way into his cloak and under his clothes and moved up and down his muscles. The person whispered into his ear, "You couldn't wait to see me again, Naru-kun." Naruto swallowed. Hana-san, long time no see huh? He stuttered out while trying to ignore the hands moving towards his waistline and the chest pressed against his back. "Indeed it has, I've been so lonely without you." Her voice carried an undertone of something he couldn't quite place, but it made him blush furiously. Her hands had almost reached his waistline now, and Naruto couldn't move his body at all. Kiba chose this moment to burst through the door on their left and run straight into Naruto at full power, knocking both of them down the stairs head first. Ouch. What the hell? Hey. Taicho. Oi. Taicho. Are you alright? Talk to me man. Kiba exclaimed when he saw Naruto. Naruto slowly sat up and turned to look at Kiba with a completely neutral expression. Kiba flinched. Oh boy, he's gonna kick my ass. He definitely didn't expect Naruto to hug him. But that was exactly what Naruto was doing at the moment, with tears streaming from his eyes as he repeatedly thanked Kiba for saving his virginity. Sewer. You're welcome. Anyways. We have to get to the gate before Kurenai-sensei goes ballistic on us. And with that he grabbed Naruto and quickly shunshin to their meeting place. Hana pouted, "You got away this time, but I'll make you mine soon enough." Naruto shivered in mid-shunshin. When they arrived, they were greeted with a bored drunken old man, 2 angry women and Shino who was. "Well Shino. You're late. Where in the world have you been?" Kurenai asked her 2 students. They were both so skilled yet one was lazy and the other one had the mentality of an animal. "Well you see, me and Kiba were hurrying over here when we saw this old man get attacked by alley cats. As the good leaf shinobi we are, we hurried to the old man's side and helped him fend off the vile beasts. Then we escorted him home and here we are now." Naruto finished with an expression that could make even the most stoic and emotionless Hyuga jealous. "Naruto Nyasan. Stop making up such ridiculous lies." Hinata lectured. Since teammate had been created, Hinata had grown immeasurably both in skill and in confidence. She was now outspoken, friendly and didn't shy away from an argument if she believed she was right. "Mama, it's fine, Hinata-chan. We're here now right? So let's go." Naruto drawled lazily while gnawing on him. For once his book was in his backpack and his hands were now in his pockets, completing the ultimate look of laziness that would make any Nara proud. Kurenai was once again amazed by the sheer laziness of her student. As amazing as it sounds, Naruto once again is right. Let's move out. And with that teammate plus 1 drunken old man moved out. They made good speed even with the old man. Amazingly he had a lot of energy, even though he looked like he could fall asleep any minute. As they walked they scouted a puddle at the side of the road. Tazuna just walked on obliviously, but the 5 ninja exchanged glances and subtly prepared for a quick battle. Not 15 seconds later, 2 nations emerged from the puddle and charged a small group, both of them wearing gloves with a shark chain attached between them. Faster than the eye could see, Naruto turned and flashed through hand seals along with Hinata. Water release. Pressure stream technique. Hinata shouted as she blew out a steady stream of water that soaked the chain and the 2 nins, while also blowing them back. Naruto followed right after lightning release. Shock barrage technique. Several spear-like lightning missiles was created in a circle in front of Naruto. Suddenly they flew one by one so fast it was impossible to track with the untrained eye and embedded themselves in the chain. Still soaked and connected with the two nuke nins, the lightning spread and electrified the two nins into unconsciousness. The reason why I write in English is because I'm gonna use many of my own, the two above are both my original techniques. After splashing a little water on him to wake them up, Kurenai cast a Jinjutsu on them and made them tell them about their goal and about Zabuza. Kurenai sighed to Zuna-san, we needed to talk after the explanation. She turned to her team. So, what do you guys wanna do? She asked them, though she didn't really need an answer. I wanna help these people, besides it might get fun. Naruto exclaimed. Hell yeah, Taicho. Me and Akamaru are gonna kick some ass. Indeed, we might get to fight some strong opponents like this Zabuza person, Shino added his 2 cents. I can't forgive this Gato person for doing something like this. We'll take him down. Hinata added. Kurenai smiled, and Tazuna looked on with a new sense of hope swelling in his chest. Maybe this would be the miracle Wave had hoped for. After their little strategic meeting they continued on to meet with the man that had promised to ferry them across to Wave. About half an hour later they finally reached the shore and after thanking the man they moved on. Suddenly Kiba flung a kunai at the bushes, making a Snow White bunny leap out and flee. The hell are you doing? This is a Konoha elite shinobi. You scared the crap out of me for no reason. Tazuna roared. Not only did he need to deal with Gato and enemy ninja, now he had to deal with jumpy brats too. Naruto's visible eye widened. That bunny was Snow White. That's the color they take in the winter. Normally they'd be brown this time of year. Which means it's used as a replacement. Shit. The enemy is already here. He heard the sound of something coming towards them fast. Everyone, hit the deck now. He roared as he dragged Tazuna down with him. The others hit the deck instantly and not a moment too soon. A giant sailed over their heads and embedded itself in the nearby tree. A large man appeared on the handle. Kurenai glared at the man. So, the demon brothers weren't lying when they said they worked for Yue Mamachi Zabuza. Zabuza's eyes widened before narrowing. Uhi Kurenai, Konoha's Jinjutsu mistress. Heh, no wonder the demon brothers told on me, Zabuza said, his voice filled with bloodlust. Heh, sorry, I would love to play with you, but I have to take out that old guy. In response he got a raised middle finger from Naruto. Too bad for you, Mr. Eyebrowless Freak, but we ain't giving up the old dude. Zabuza's eye twitched. Big words from a soon dead brat, he said, trying to instill fear in the teen ninja. What he got was 2 raised middle fingers, a malicious aura coming of the girl, and a guy covered completely was giving him an unpleasant stare. Form up and protect Azuna-san. Make sure to guard every angle. I'll deal with him. Kurenai instructed as she turned and glared at the man who had now removed him from the tree and was blocking the road. Kurenai instantly went on the offensive. Demonic illusion. Great forest strangulation technique. Trees sprouted from the ground and enveloped Zabuza, slowly strangling him while completely binding his body. Zabuza gasped as he slowly lost air. He couldn't breathe, couldn't move, hell, he couldn't even scream. In a last-ditch effort to save himself he bit down on his lip hard, making it bleed. The pain snapped him out of the illusion just in time to see Kurenai stab at him with a kunai. Being the skilled shinobi he was, he deftly caught her by the wrist and threw her out on the lake. He then flashed through hand signs hit and miss technique. As the fog rolled in he dashed to Kurenai and went through even more seals water prison technique. He held out his hand as Kurenai was encased in a water sphere. He never noticed the slightly tilted headband or the red glow coming from one headache Naruto. Naruto was smiling. God bless Zabuza. Even more water jutsu. Hells yes. There we go. No more pesky illusions. And no more jounin. Heh, now to take out the brats. He gloated and turned his attention to the genin and Tazuna. Tazuna flinched, but the ninjas protecting him didn't seem fazed at all. Naruto sighed. Alright, stay here and guard Tazuna-san, okay? I'm gonna help out Kurenai-sensei. Shino, can you get some bugs on him? Shino shook his head. I'm afraid it wasn't Naruto Taichu. It seems the mist is laced with chakra, it's confusing my bugs. Naruto just nodded. Alright, Hinata, you're in front. If he tries to sneak up on us your Byakugan will instantly pick him up. And with that Naruto walked through the mist, quickly disappearing from sight. Zabuza noticed someone coming towards him and from that he could see the person was alone. He smirked to himself. Did they think only one genin could take him out? To his surprise it wasn't one of the genins but his target Tazuna that emerged from the mist. I will go with you, the old man slurred. He was obviously half drunk, but you have to let the woman and the brats go. I won't let Gato hurt anyone not involved. Zabuza smirked under his bandages and charged the old man, leaving a Mizubi Unshin water clone in charge of the sphere. Like you have anything to barter with, old man. I'll kill all of you. Hey, goodbye you old drunk. Zabuza roared as he swung his and cut through the bridge builder. To his surprise the old man disappeared and reappeared right behind him, only he had changed back into the orange-haired kid. Damn, I had thought I could make you drop your guard with a HENGE transformation, but I guess that was wishful thinking, and with that Naruto drew his sword impossibly fast and sliced into Zabuza, giving him a deep gash across the chest. Zabuza cried out in pain and quickly jumped back, making some distance between the kid and him. Naruto flashed Hand Seal's wind release. Furious Gale technique. Naruto sucked in the wind and blew out, the wind formed a tornado that blew away everything in its path. Zabuza only barely managed to stay on his feet, applying large amounts of chakra to his feet and shielding himself with his sword. Nice try kid, but I'm afraid I'm still here. Zabuza said with a smirk. He quickly dropped the smirk however when he saw his opponent smile at him. That was meant for your fog, not you. With that he lifted his headband revealing his eye and drawing his sword. I'm not gonna use the Sharingan just yet. Zabuza growled and heaved his own sword, pointing it threateningly at the kid. You want a sword duel? You're dumber than I thought kid. But I will gladly take you out. He threatened and prepared to charge. Naruto smiled. Mamachi Zabuza huh? Alright let's dance. With that the two sword-wielding shinobi charged each other, intent on ending the other's life. Naruto quickly began a series of rapid slashes and blinding speed, making it hard for his opponent to follow. However Zabuza wasn't a jounin for no reason and used his superior battle experience to narrowly dodge each and every slash. They clashed in a stalemate again, and Zabuza decided to end it. He used his great strength to knock back Naruto, and the flash through Hand Seal's water release. Great Titan's Wrath technique. The water around him started to rise and shift, eventually creating a giant formed purely of water. The being roared to the heavens before raising its massive fist ready to smash Naruto. Zabuza could only stare as he looked at Naruto's eye. Before it had been an azure green color, now it was crimson red with 3 tomos. Sharingan he breathed but how? Who the hell are you? He yelled the last bit. Naruto smiled and then flashed through his own set of Hand Seals. Water release. Great Titan's Wrath technique. Much faster than Zabuza's, the giant rose from the water and roared at him before attacking the other giant. The two clashed as they spread water all over the surrounding lake and trees. Zabuza sneered angrily and flashed through Hand Seals for those he knew would finish the fight. Water release. Great Water Demon's Raging Stream Monster technique. The water around Zabuza boiled as several demon-shaped water beings rose and screamed as if they were being tortured, then they merged together, creating a being that looked like a mix between a hydra, a knight and a bear. It had 8 heads that furiously hissed at him, a bear's body, and what looked like armor attached to its body. Naruto frowned. That's a very high level of water, why does Zabuza know something like this? Well at least now I know it too, he breathed as he prepared one of his most powerful techniques, a technique he had created about a month ago. He flashed through the Hand Seals as the monster before him slowly stabilized and prepared to end him. Lightning release. Emperor's Great Shock Barrage. Perfect Circle Ultimate Spear technique. The spears from the normal shock barrage technique spun around faster and faster until they merged and became one great spear of pure lightning. Naruto then grabbed the spear and prepared to throw it. Zabuza's eyes widened. What the hell is that technique? He asked in awe. Naruto smiled once again. One of my ultimate techniques and my own personally created, and with that he threw the spear at Zabuza with such speed that it was impossible to dodge, and it rammed straight through his water demon and his water giant, and then it exploded in an enormous lightning shower. When the smoke finally disappeared, the true power of the was clear. There was a giant crater easily bigger than most lakes, and all the water in the area had vaporized due to the density of the electricity, making it so hot that it was only surpassed by Amaterasu's flames. Zabuza was slumped against a tree that was right at the edge of the corner. Since Naruto had blown away the fog, they had all witnessed his fight with Zabuza. He slowly made his way towards Zabuza. Holy crap. I knew Taicho was amazing, but this is ridiculous. To think he made it like that. Kiba whispered to the others. They could only nod in response, even Shino had dropped his usually impassive mask in favor of a completely astonished one. Kurenai had long since been freed from the water prison and she too could only stare. Naruto. Just how strong are you? Zabuza glared at him as best he could. Naruto just drew his sword and prepared to end Zabuza. Whwhu. Who in the world are you? He asked with fear and awe evident in his voice. He hated himself for it, but he couldn't deny that this kid was of a whole different league. Naruto looked at him for a while before answering Sharingan no Naruto, and with that he swung his blade, only to stop mid-swing as Zabuza was killed by 3 piercing his neck. A hunter nin appeared beside the corpse. I must thank you for making my job a lot easier, because of you I had no trouble apprehending this criminal. But now I must take my leave, I still need to dispose of the body. And with that he shunted it away leaving the group confused. Tiba sighed as they regrouped, glad that's over with. At least Gato can't have any ninja stronger than Zabuza, right? I mean he was an A-class nuke nin. Ha. Guess he wasn't expecting Taicho. Naruto smiled at the praise as he repositioned his hit eye. Naruto shook his head. I wouldn't be too sure about that, Kiba-kun. At their confused stares he continued, normally nuke nins are disposed of right then and there, yet that hunter nin we just saw took Zabuza with him. Which means he was probably Zabuza's partner. Shino, what do your bugs say? He asked as he turned to the bug user. Shino was quiet for a minute before answering. It seems you were right, Taicho, this fake hunter was indeed Zabuza's friend. It would seem he has also somehow resurrected Zabuza. Naruto's visible eye widened and then narrowed. I see, the near-death state that would explain his so-called resurrection. The others looked at him as they resumed their trip to Tezuna's house. It's a state that stops all bodily functions for a few minutes while not completely killing their target, giving the illusion of death. It seems Zabuza's pal is skilled with. After that they resumed talking about nothing and everything to make the time pass on their trip. Hiba was constantly pestering Naruto to teach him his ultimate spear technique, but was disheartened when he found out that it required a ridiculous amount of chakra. It wasn't long till they reached Tezuna's house. Naruto knocked on the door and it was almost ripped off its hinges as he came face to face with a beautiful young woman with long black hair. She blushed heavily as she took in his features, she then noticed the others and broke into a smile when she saw Tezuna. "Dusama. You're safe, thank God. I was so worried that something would have happened to you." Tezuna smiled sheepishly. "Sorry for worrying about Tsunami-chan, but let's not be rude and let our guests here out in the cold," and with that they hurried into the house. It wasn't long till Tezuna was telling Tsunami about their trip. "You should have seen it. This kid made an enormous spear of lightning and then he flung it. The damage was unbelievable," he exclaimed as he gestured towards Naruto who was currently doing handstand push-ups on one finger. He flipped himself on his feet and then looked at the three other genins. "From tomorrow on, we're going to train each and every day while we switch who guards Tezuna." Hinata voiced everyone's question. "Training Naruto Niasen. But why? It's just a guard job, right? The hardest we'll face are bandits." "That's where you're wrong, Hinata-chan. Zabuza is still alive and you can be sure as hell he's coming back for Tezuna-sen's head. That's why we're going to become much stronger," Naruto explained. "But why would we need training so badly, Taicho? If worse comes to worse, you and Kurenai-sensei can surely defeat him?" Shino asked. "Indeed we could see Shino-kun, but I'm worried about his partner. That person was strong, maybe more so than Zabuza himself." The other occupants of the room looked at him in shock as he smiled back at them. "Don't worry. By the time we're done with training you're gonna be unstoppable," he cheered. The mood instantly changed from serious and grave to cheerful and happy. Naruto felt someone glaring at his back and turned to see a little kid with black hair and green clothes with a striped hat on. He was giving Naruto a look that could kill plants. "Why? Why do you try to fight against Gato and his thugs? They'll just kill you all. You should just leave. Gato has already taken everything from us. What do you guys even know about pain? All of you should just get lost right now." And with that he ran upstairs. Tezuna looked sad and the Tsunami was at the point of tears. "That was my son Inari. I am so sorry. He's endured so much and it's turned him into a sad and lonely boy." She apologized with tears streaming down her face. Naruto smiled at her with his patented smile that made you feel like you could carry the entire weight of the world on your shoulders with no problems at all. "It's fine, Tsunami-chan, it's fine." She couldn't help but blush from the smile and the kindness in his voice. Naruto turned his attention towards Tezuna. "Tezuna-san, would you mind telling me his story? Pain is something I can relate quite well to." His teammates and sensei's faces darkened at that, they knew all too well about the kind of life Naruto had to endure before he was saved. He had even told them about the Kyuubi and said that if they didn't want to work with him, he would transfer to another team. They had instantly shot that idea down, after all he was him and the Kyuubi was the Kyuubi. Tezuna sighed sadly as he shifted his gaze from the stairs onto Naruto. "I guess it wouldn't hurt to let you know." And with that he began his tale. After telling them about how Inari was saved from a man who would become like a father to Inari and about how he saved the town only to be executed by Gato in order to crush the country's hope, Naruto disappeared to go talk with Inari. Naruto approached Inari's room from which sobbing could be heard, he smiled sadly and knocked on the door quietly. "May I come in?" When he received no answer he pushed the door open and walked into the room to see Inari sobbing over a picture as he sat on his table. Naruto quietly positioned himself on Inari's bed and was about to start a conversation when Inari interrupted him. "CC, come to scold me? Come to preach for me? Come to tell me how I'm an ungrateful brat?" He yelled at Naruto, but was surprised when he got a small sad smile in return. "I've heard about what happened from Tezuna-san. I wanted to tell you my story if you would hear it." Inari was surprised, why did he look so pained when he mentioned his own past? In any case Inari was curious and therefore he nodded. Naruto smiled and motioned for Inari to come sit beside him. Inari complied, still a bit wary. When he had positioned himself Naruto started. "I am an orphan. I grew up never knowing who my parents were in an orphanage that hated me. Actually all of Konoha hated me. From when I was 2 years old I was beaten within an inch of my life every night. People told their kids to stay away from me, that I was evil. On my 4th birthday it was the worst storm in all of Konoha's history. Some villagers broke down my door. A year before this I was kicked out of the orphanage and got my own rundown crap apartment. Well, these villagers fastened me to a lightning rod and positioned it at the highest possible point in the village, excluding the Hokage tower, and then they left me there the whole night. When I was found the next morning I had been struck by so much lightning that I should have been dead at least 10 times. Stuff like this kept happening up until a night when I was 6 years old where I was saved and adopted by a man named Kakashi. He took me in, fed me and trained me to become the best shinobi ever, and for a time I was truly happy. But, alas, fate is a cruel lover. 3 years later Kakashi Niasen died on a mission. Once again I was alone and lost in a village that hated me. But the other Jounin ninja that had been friends with Kakashi Niasen trained me and helped me. I resolved to become the strongest shinobi ever. And then take the Hokage hat for myself. I have endured so much pain and loneliness in my life. But I won't let it get me down, never ever. I'm gonna rid the world of people like Gato so people like you, your mom and your grandpa can live happily. He finished his tale, his eyes glowing with resolution. Inari was speechless. Naruto had endured so much more than himself, yet he resolved himself to becoming stronger instead of hating everything and everyone. He was so cool. You're right. I'm gonna become stronger like you. And protect my mom and grandpa. I'll get revenge for my dad. I will become so amazing that even you have to acknowledge me, Naruto Niasen. Naruto smiled brightly at the boy. Nah, Inari-kun, would you like to see something cool? It's something I acquired from that lightning incident I told you about. Inari nodded energetically. Yosh, you know about chakra, right? At the nod he continued, as my body was struck by continuous lightning, my chakra absorbed it and it changed and adapted to the electricity. It became this. As he finished, both his hands up to his elbows were enveloped in white lightning. It didn't even look like he was hurt. Inari had stars in his eyes. SSSS, so cool. What is that? He exclaimed loudly. Naruto smiled at his awe. I call it Dragon Slayer chakra. It's from a story I read once about a small group of people able to envelop themselves in elemental chakra in order to fight against dragons when they existed. This is the Lightning Slayer style. I'm still working on a Fire Slayer and a Wind Slayer style. Check this out. He opened Inari's window and then breathed in and released a stream of white lightning. Rire, you know Hoko lightning dragons roar, isn't it cool? It turns different parts of the body into dragons. Or, that's the idea at least. And it cost almost no chakra, it doesn't need hand seals, and it gives my Taijutsu some serious kick-ass power. Inari's eyes were bigger than it should be humanly possible, there truly was hope for waves still. After that they talked about their lives in general and about what they had experienced. Hours passed and they would have kept on going were it not for the tsunami. Inari. Naruto-kun, dinner's ready. She called from the kitchen. They made their way downstairs to find a most amusing scene before them. Tazuna was obviously drunk and was hitting on Kurenai. And failing badly. Tsunami was repeatedly hitting her father with a spoon. Kurenai was trying to ignore Tazuna while reading a book. Hinata and Kiba kept looking at each other, completely forgetting everything around them. Shino was sitting at a window communicating with his Kakechu and trying to find new insects for his ever-growing hive. Akamaru was playing with one of Inari's hats and apparently found it to be an endless hat of enjoyment. Naruto whistled. Wow, what happened here? I leave for a few hours and suddenly the whole place is coming down. He asked teasingly. And what's with those two looking seconds away from sucking each other's faces off? He continued as he gestured towards Kiba and Hinata, both of which blushed a bright red. Inari couldn't help but burst out laughing at the comment. Everyone instantly noticed the change in Inari's mood and demeanor. Tazuna was wide-eyed. He managed to get Inari to smile again. This boy gets more and more amazing with each passing minute. Tsunami was also overjoyed. My little boy is smiling again. Thank you, Naruto, truly thank you. Yosh. Eating time. Man, I'm hungry. It's surprising how taxing it is to go around being a miracle worker, he said with a grin that everyone else mirrored. That night was the most joyous and happy one Tazuna and his family had had in a long time. Afterwards they went to bed with the 3 males sharing a room and the 2 females sharing a room with Tsunami. The next day, after grabbing some breakfast, teammate Mina Sensei had gone off to train as she had accompanied Tazuna to the city to buy groceries. Alright, line up. This training is gonna be grueling, it's gonna be harsh, and most of all it's gonna make you wish you'd never become shinobi. But when it's over you'll be that much stronger. So, any of you wanna back out? Naruto asked as he looked them over. Receiving nothing but determined glares, well, it was kinda hard to tell with Shino, but they had learned to read his facial expressions quite well, he continued. Okay. All of you will be training your clan to perfection. I'm gonna come back in 4 hours and if you haven't perfect your choice by the time I get back, there will be no dinner and you will sleep outside. Now get to it. And with that he shunshed it away leaving 3 very determined genin. Naruto arrived at a clearing a couple of miles away as he hurriedly scouted the area for enemy shinobi or anyone not meant to see his training. When he found none, he started working on some of his new work. While he did this he created 500 shadow clones to train his chakra control. He also created another 500 who instantly started going through katas for his Chikudo. And then he worked himself into the ground. 4 hours later he returned to find his teammates lying on the ground, bruised and panting and visibly exhausted. Alright. Let's see what you've been working on. They showed him what they had been working on. The Kaiten Heavenly Spin for Hinata, the Gatsuuga Dual Piercing Fang for Kiba and Akamaru, and the Mushidama Insect Sphere for Shino. Naruto made a mental note on finding out how the Kaiten worked. If he could combine it with his Dragon Slayer style, he could emit a continuous dome of electricity or fire and win for that sake. Afterwards they went home and had dinner and then went straight to bed. This process continued itself over the week as Naruto and Kurenai took shifts guarding Tazuna on the bridge. One evening Naruto went out for some late night training and fell asleep in a small clearing. Naruto frowned as something pulled him from his sleep, sharpening his senses he could feel a presence next to him. The presence was not someone he knew, it was however a shinobi as he could tell from his chakra sensing, an ability he had developed that allowed him to tell stuff from a person's chakra. The chakra seemed familiar, but he couldn't place his finger on it. That was until he heard the low rustling of the presence giving off a metallic sound. He knew that sound all too well. Senbin, which meant this was Zabuza's little hunter nin friend. Deciding to play innocent and unknowing, he opened his eyes and met a couple of hazel brown eyes in the middle of a beautiful face. "Yayan, morning, something I can help you with?" he asked cheerfully with a smile that the person mirrored. "Good morning, mister, I was just wondering what you were doing sleeping in a forest." It seems kinda strange if you ask me, if the person answered in a feminine voice that had a hint of masculinity. "Just so this won't get awkward later on. Are you a man or a woman?" Naruto asked with a sheepish smile. The person laughed. "I'm a guy, thanks for asking though, many make passes at me without knowing it. I'm Haku by the way." Naruto laughed with him. "The name's Naruto. Nice to meet ya. So. What are you doing in the forest all by yourself? Seems kinda lonely." He asked curiously. "I'm looking for herbs I need to make some healing salves. A friend of mine got hurt badly in an incident and I wanted to help him," Haku said. Naruto noticed that he sounded very happy when he spoke of this person, whom Naruto figured was Zabuza. He filed it away for later. "May I help? I need to stretch my body anyways," he asked, wishing to learn more about this Haku person. Haku seemed truly happy that Naruto wanted to help him and eagerly nodded. "That would be an amazing help," Haku said as he showed Naruto the herb he needed. Then they proceeded to search for the herbs while talking about their lives, each only giving up information that wasn't compromising. After about an hour Haku decided they had found enough herbs for one lifetime. Naruto-kun. Do you have anyone precious to you? Someone that you want to protect? No matter the cost?" Haku inquired as he looked at his newfound friend enemy. Naruto nodded as he laid down on the grass at the clearing. "Yeah, I do. My teammates. The few people in Konoha that didn't treat me like trash. And the people of Wave," he said fondly. "If they treat you so badly, then why do you continue to fight for Konoha?" Haku couldn't understand why someone that had been treated worse than the lowest of low criminals by his village would still be loyal to it. Naruto had told him about the horrible treatment he had gotten. "Well. As I said, I have some precious people that I want to protect there. Also, my mom, dad and the person that was like a big brother to me died defending Konoha. Therefore I would put shame on their names were I to abandon the village. I decided I would become the best ninja in Konoha's history. That I would become a Hokage that surpassed all others. And that my village would recognize me." He stopped to let the word sink in with Haku. "What about you, Haku-kun? Do you have anyone precious to you?" he asked a boy he had found to be very kind-hearted despite being Zabuza's partner. "I do indeed. A man who saved me when I was alone. He fed me, clothed me, and trained me to become strong. That person is like a father to me. And I would gladly give my life for him," Haku said with conviction. Naruto froze completely. Haku and Zabuza's relationship was exactly like his and Kakashi's. They had both been saved from loneliness and death. "Well. I better get back to my team, they're probably beginning to worry. Maybe I'll see you some other time, Haku-kun. And be careful of Gato's thugs. That bastard has his goons spread out all over Wave." Haku smiled at his protectiveness. "I'll definitely be careful, you too." And with that they walked their own ways. Just before they were out of hearing, Naruto yelled at him. Something that made his blood run cold, something that surprised him greatly, and something that made him wonder why Naruto hadn't killed him. "One more thing. Say hi to Zabu-chan for me, will ya?" and wish him a fast recovery. And with that he shunted it away. Haku couldn't help but smile as he walked towards the base where Zabuza was located. You could say a lot about Naruto. But the kid had style. Naruto appeared before Tezuna's house and quietly made his way into the house so as not to alert anyone. He had taken 2 steps inside when he was attacked by a black blur. The black blur that went by the name of Inari had his stomach in a tight grip and wasn't planning on letting go anytime soon. WW, where have you been? I was worried sick, you know. Your friends kept saying that you were fine B, but I thought that maybe Gato had managed to. Inari cried out as he buried his head in Naruto's clothes. Naruto smiled at the boy and ruffled his hair. Don't worry kiddo, remember? I promised I wouldn't die before becoming Hokage, right? He asked with a smile on his face that everyone mirrored. They hurriedly went to eat dinner and then talked till late at night. Naruto tiredly dragged himself up the stairs to his room and, after undressing, flopped down on his bed. He was asleep before his head hit the pillow. The next day, Naruto yawned loudly as the sun's rays hit his face and his hair, making it look like a beautiful flame freezing over. He cursed at the sun, why was the sun even shining right now? The sun normally started shining in wave at about 12:30-1300 hours. Then realization hit him like a ton of bricks. He had overslept. Very much. He hurriedly dressed and was about to charge down the stairs when he heard turmoil in the kitchen. It sounded like Tsunami screaming, his blood ran cold. Has something happened to her? He moved down the stairs, fast as a cheetah, quiet as a shadow. He glanced around the corner to find Inari standing in front of his mother, yelling at 2 bandits that had seemingly cut down the house wall, that he would protect his mother from anyone that wished to harm her. Naruto smiled, the brat had really grown up these past days. He shunshed silently, appearing right behind the 2 bandits and effortlessly knocking them out with a chop to the back of the head. He smiled at Inari. You did it, Inari-kun. You protected your mom from Gato and his thugs. But now it's time to take the fight to Gato, wouldn't you say? Gather the villagers, if you want to be free from Gato's control, then you have to defeat him yourself. All right? He asked the young boy. Of course. I'm gonna rally the townspeople. It's time we take the fight too. With that, Inari and Tsunami ran off to gather the townspeople and Naruto took off his Hittite and fastened it around his neck loosely. His Sharingan spun into action. Now. It's time to test this new ability I discovered. I shall call it SHUNPO Flash Steps. The technique that made Uchiha Shisui known as Shunshin no Shisui, Shisui of the body flicker, the fastest technique in the world. Impossible to copy and impossible to track. I'm quite lucky that these were the eyes I received. And with that he disappeared in a soft swoosh. Meanwhile, at the tool shed. I mean the bridge. Imaginary cake to anyone that knows where that line is from. Team 7 and Tazuna had arrived at the bridge only to find the bridge builders lying around on the bridge in heaps, many of them dangerously bordering on mortal wounds. Kurenai rushed to the nearest man. What in the world happened here? How did all of you end up like this? She asked the man, blood oozing from the wound on his chest, as he hooked up bile and blood. A demon. He breathed out as he succumbed to his wounds. Kurenai cursed shit. What the hell? Only then did she realize that the whole area had become bathed in a suffocating mist. Kiba, Shino and Hinata hurriedly stacked up in front of Tazuna as the mist approached. Kiba sniffed the air and cursed loudly. Shit. This mist is laced with the smell of chakra. It's the same as back at Zabuza. Relax. Stick together and don't let Tazuna send out of your sight. Remember, we might be dealing with his partner as well. Kurenai instructed as she went into professional mode. The 3 genin nodded and readied themselves for combat. With a small cry of Byakugan. Hinata's eyes bulged as veins appeared on the side. Shino sent his bugs out to scout and Kiba threw Akamaru's soldier pill. Heh, nice try brats, but you'll never be ready enough to face me. A voice rang out as the mist shifted and then slowly disappeared, revealing Zabuza and his accomplice. Zabuza-sama, did you notice something different about those 3? The masked person asked. Indeed I did, it seems they've become quite a lot stronger since last time, still they shouldn't be a problem to Haku. The masked boy, now known as Haku, nodded and then he and Zabuza charged the group. You 3 take Zabuza's little friend. I'll take Zabuza, Kurenai shouted as she charged Zabuza. Haha. You think you can win? This time your orange-headed brat isn't here. Zabuza yelled as he grabbed his Zanbato and swung at Kurenai. He deftly dodged and went for a strike at his gut with a kunai. He grabbed her by the wrist and swung her into the air and then down into the ground with enough force to crack the ground. He smiled only for Kurenai to crack and sprout vines from everywhere. They quickly grabbed and bound Zabuza, immobilizing him. Suddenly Kurenai appeared behind him with a kunai at his neck. Demonic illusion. Hell, suffocating vine technique. She announced her technique as she prepared to strike Zabuza down. I hate illusions. Zabuza said as he realized what happened. Kurenai smiled. I get that a lot, and with that she struck. But the genin, Hiba, Shino and Hinata were hard pressed against Haku, who made good use of his superior speed to beat them to bits. Please, just give up and hand over to Zuna-san, I don't want to hurt you more than necessary. Haku pleaded with the Konoha shinobi. Like hell we will. Kiba sneered. We Leaf Ninja never back down and never give up. That's what Taicho taught us. He said with conviction, the two others nodding their agreement. Very well, then I'll steal my heart and end your lives. Please don't hate me for this. He flung a barrage of senbon at the three genin who tried to move, only to find that they couldn't move courtesy of the water at their feet, solidifying and grabbing their legs. What the hell? Ice. Don't tell me. This guy is a bloodline user. Kiba exclaimed. Shino used his Kakeichu to absorb and disperse the chakra at his feet and charged at Haku, engaging him in a Taijutsu match while trying to suck Haku's chakra dry with several Kakeichu-based moves. Hinata used her Jiken to disperse the chakra in the ice at hers and Kiba's feet, and they too joined the battle, using their superior teamwork to slowly overpower their foe. Haku jumped back making some distance and then used one hand to go through hand seals while he used the other to throw senbon at the team who frantically dodged. Demonic ice crystal mirrors. Ice formed around them as 21 mirrors of ice surrounded them. Haku quickly melted with one of the ice mirrors and threw them at them, which quickly turned to 50. Kiba acted fast and pushed Azuna out of the dome just as it closed around them and then hailed down on them. They managed to dodge all the fatal areas, but they were still horribly beaten up. Haku launched a last aim directly at Kiba as his eyes widened. Kiba. Hinata screamed with her lungs full power as she watched a man she loved about to die. Shino sped towards Kiba as fast as he could, but to everyone he was almost painfully slow as they came closer and closer. Kiba closed his eyes and sent his final regards to his family, then he tilted his head and smiled at Hinata while he whispered, Sorry Hinata. And then he closed his eyes, awaiting the inevitable. Only it never came. Kiba opened his eyes little by little, and then they sprung open as he recognized a person who had snatched the senbon out of the air. And then Naruto Taicho. Kiba exclaimed as he saw Naruto. Naruto turned his head and smiled at Kiba. Yo, Kiba-kun, sorry I'm late. Would you mind going with Hinata and Shino to protect Azuna-san? We don't know if there's any more enemies around here. I'll take care of these guys. Naruto asked, the smile never once leaving his face. You got it. Be careful Taicho. This guy can use eye somehow, I think he has a bloodline limit. Naruto's eye widened momentarily before returning to normal, a vicious smile playing on his lips. This might get interesting. Now get out of here Kiba. Kiba nodded and hurriedly left along with the rest of teammate. Naruto turned his head towards the mirror in the upper right corner of the dome. Do you say we play a little, Nahaku-kun? He asked. Haku flinched inside his mirror. How did he know which mirror I was located in? Haku thought as he faced a person he knew he would have to fight even though they had so much in common. Very well, Naruto-kun, let's play, and with that he threw a hail of at Naruto, who only smiled and dodged them all using his amazing speed. The barrage kept coming and Naruto was getting annoyed. He charged and with his sword, cut 3 mirrors in half with one move. Haku emerged from one of the shards and would have moved to another had Naruto not caught him by the ankle and smacked him down onto the bridge hard. Haku was about to merge with another mirror when lightning emerged all around Naruto's body. Dodori Nagashi 1000 birds current, the lightning spread out and simultaneously pierced every mirror left. Haku was wide-eyed, his ultimate crushed so easily. Not even Zabuza had managed to do that in his training. H, how did you know? How did you catch me so easily, how? He yelled at Naruto who just smiled back. When I destroyed the mirrors I heard you move, going by my sense of hearing I could easily track you. Haku was slack-jawed, he had used his hearing to defeat him. That was ridiculous. At once the two boys heard Kurenai scream, they instantly turned towards the noise as the mist lifted revealing a horrifying sight. At the end of the bridge was Gato and what seemed like hundreds of bandits ready to kill on order. Zabuza was pinned down and couldn't move due to several chains that had been fastened to his limbs. Kurenai was being restrained by 6 bandits who all had a tight grip on her arms. So these are the brats that you can't even beat, Hamamachi. Pathetic. Kill him and the brats, we'll have some fun with the 2 bitches from Konoha. One of the bandits raised his sword and swung down towards Zabuza's neck. It never reached. In its way stood Haku who had almost been cleaved from the shoulder and all the way down. Naruto's eyes widened and then narrowed in anger, the bandit lay headless not even a second later. Naruto sliced Zabuza's chains without even looking at him, he was glaring at Gato. For now we are allies, Zabuza-san. Why should I care? Haku was nothing but a tool to be used and then discarded. He said something, making his voice very heavy. Your face is telling another story than your voice, Zabuza-san, Naruto said as he glanced at Zabuza. He, the terrifying demon of the mist, was crying like a child. Alright brat, let's give him hell. The 2 sword users charged as Naruto, appeared almost instantaneously by Kurenai's side and decapitated the 6 men restraining her. Don't worry sensei, me and Zabuza-san will take care of these guys. Please, get Hinata to tend to Haku. Kurenai nodded and went off to search for Hinata with the young boy in her arms. She knew not to say anything as she slowly shook with fear. She had never seen anything like this. Naruto's chakra was like that of a monster. He was very angry. The two ninja engaged a small army in a flurry of death and blood. It looked entrancing yet at the same time scary, like a beautiful monster about to eat you. Zabuza was clearly going for Geto as he charged through the masses, not even glancing at them. He was completely obsessed with the death of the small man. Geto was getting more and more frightened by the minute. These guys were not human, it was simply not possible. His train of thought was cut short as Zabuza suddenly appeared right in front of him. It's over Geto. You'll regret ever messing with this demon. Let's see just how hell is, shall we? And with that he sliced Geto in two, just as Zabuza himself was stabbed several times by Geto's henchmen. Naruto's eyes widened. Zabuza-san. He sliced his way to Zabuza who was silently bleeding out on the ground. Why are you okay? Hang on, I'll get you some medical treatment right away. He was stopped as Zabuza grabbed his wrist. Brat. Take my sword and make sure it gets back to Kiri. You. It was amazing. Foe. I would have lost anyway. Thank you. For giving me this chance at revenge. Stay safe, alright kid. Tears piled up in Naruto's eye as he accepted the broadsword from Zabuza and sealed it away. Don't worry Zabuza-san, I'll make sure your final request gets honored. Zabuza smiled at the kind-hearted boy that had been his enemy only minutes before. One more thing. Please. Bury me alongside Haku. Naruto couldn't reply and only nodded at the request. He slowly picked up Zabuza and walked towards the others as the remaining bandits charged at him. Wind release. Great Demon Wall. A wall of wind knocked away all the bandits close to Naruto and sent most of them into their allies. Suddenly an arrow hit the ground right before the bandit leader. Everyone followed the arrow only to see Inari with his crossbow, the whole town behind him roaring angrily. The bandits visibly paled. Oh shit. Screw this. I'm out of here. One of the bandits screamed as the rest followed his example and fled like little girls. Wave's inhabitants cheered happily as they were finally free from their oppressor. Naruto said nothing as he reached his team and Haku who was being healed by Hinata. It was however clear that he wouldn't make it. Naruto laid Zabuza down beside Haku as he spoke. Sorry Haku. He's gone, I tried but they were so many. I'm truly sorry. Naruto said, his voice laced with sadness at his failure. It's not your fault Naruto-kun. At least I get to be with Zabuza-sama at the very end. Tell me. Naruto-kun. What will you do now? Haku asked as he looked at Naruto. I'm gonna become stronger. I'm gonna become so strong that I'll be able to always protect my village. I'm gonna become the strongest ninja ever. So I can face you and Zabuza in the next life without being ashamed. Naruto said as lightning crackled in his eye. Haku smiled a true smile and placed his hand on Naruto's chest. Then. I want you. To have my power. Take it. And protect your precious persons. And with that he pumped all of his chakra directly into Naruto. Naruto screamed as ice appeared and formed in the shape of a dragon that coiled itself around Naruto before entering his right palm and disappearing. Naruto fell unconscious. What the hell did you do to Naruto Taicho? Kiba roared as he glared at the dying boy. Haku smiled as he shifted his gaze onto Kiba. I gave him the power of my clan. Naruto-kun has inherited the power of the great ice dragon Hyorinmaru. He is now the last ice wielder in the world. And with that Haku passed away. 1 week later, Naruto and the rest of Team 8 were standing on the now finished bridge as they said their goodbyes. It had been 1 week since the fight at the bridge. 6 days since they had buried Zabuza and Haku. 5 days since Naruto had woken up to discover that he now wielded the ice release bloodline limit. It had been 4 days since he had started training with his new power. It had been 3 days since he had discovered he had lost his fire affinity and gained a water affinity. It had been 2 days since he had learned that he could manipulate water out of air, thereby meaning he didn't need water to use his water and ice release. This was an ability that only the second Hokage was known to have. It had been 1 day since he had used the ice release power to create the most badass ice scythe in history and had started working on a water and ice dragon slayer style. Since all his hard work on a fire style was now thrown out the window, he had cursed Haku at this. Well, I guess this is goodbye for now. Kurenai spoke as she watched her team say their goodbyes. Naruto ruffled Inari's hair. See ya some other time kid, don't forget to eat your vegetables if you wanna be strong like me alright. He said with a huge smile that Inari mirrored. Of course. I'll surpass you in no time Naruto Niasen. Naruto smiled and shook Izuna's hand as the old man repeatedly thanked him. He then took Tsunami's hand and placed kisses up her arm. I'll miss you Tsunami-chan every living second I'm away I'll yearn for your touch. Tsunami blushed a bright scarlet from his words. He would have gone on, but Hinata grabbed him by the collar and dragged him off as everyone laughed at the scene. Team 8 made their way back home. The Kirikage Tower. Mei Terumi, the fifth Mizukage, was slack-jawed. Using a secret to see what her spies saw, she had just witnessed Momochi's Abusa, one of the 7 swordsmen feared all over the elemental countries, being thoroughly owned by a Konoha genin, and a handsome one at that. Sharingan no Naruto, huh? How utterly delicious is she, thought with a blush on her face. Chapter 4. Naruto stood at the top of an earth spike protruding from the ground. Down below was a large amount of trees, easily enough to cover a medium-sized town. Above him the lightning roared as it arched across the sky, and rain fell seemingly endlessly. Naruto raised a hand as lightning sparked to life around it, sending a lightning bolt into the sky. It soon erupted in bright light as a demon head appeared, followed by its upper body. It let out a thundering roar that dwarfed all other sounds. Naruto closed his hand with his index and middle finger extended and then brought his hand down as he whispered silently, "Disappear." With the thunder. Kirin. And then the whole area erupted into a bright light. Naruto looked at his jutsu's effect and smiled before making his way home. Where his attack had connected with the earth was an enormous crater that had completely devastated the forest area and wiped everything out. "Thanks for the food, old man," Naruto said cheerfully as he finished his 5th bowl of ramen at Ichiraku. No matter how much Kakashi had tried to change Naruto's bad habits, he could never get the boy out of his ramen addiction. Tucci, the owner of the bar, smiled at his favorite customer. The kid in him went way back and he loved Naruto like a son. Neither him nor his daughter Ayam had ever seen Naruto as the demon, and they would always serve him food when no one else would. "Ha. You're welcome, you little brat. But tell me, shouldn't you be with your team?" Tucci asked as he took the bowls and started cleaning them. Naruto smiled as he closed his eyes and extended his chakra, sensing the people around him. He noticed Konohamaru and his friends hiding around the corner watching him intently. "Well, since we've just gotten back we have some free time. And now that I think about it, the Chunin exams are coming up. Would be cool to become a Chunin so fast. Well, anyways, I think I'll go around Konoha for a bit. The weather is amazing." Naruto gave Tucci the money for the ramen and then headed out. All the way up to Konoha's graveyard, where he walked straight to the back where a humble gravestone was placed. "Yo. Kakashi Niasen. It's been a while since I was last here. I had a mission to Wave. I met a lot of amazing people there. And I received a new power. The Chunin exams are coming up, I bet we'll get entered," Naruto whispered to the gravestone. For a long time he just stared at the grave and then he spoke again. "Well, I have to go now. See ya. Kakaniasen." Naruto smiled sadly as he looked at the grave. He quickly manned himself up and turned around before sun shining to the graveyard entrance right in front of a brick wall with holes in it. Konohamaru-kun. That's kinda obvious, you know." Suddenly the brick wall exploded in a bright light, revealing Konohamaru with his 2 best friends Yuden and Mogi. All of them were on the ground coughing from the dust that the mini-explosion had created. That was nothing. But as expected by the person that I admire. "So how have you been, Aniki?" Konohamaru yelled as he got back up on his feet. Naruto's sweat dropped. He then smiled. "I've been fine, Konohamaru-kun, how about you?" he asked. That's when Konohamaru noticed it. "Ah. You don't have your headband over your eye. I thought you had lost that eye," Konohamaru exclaimed. Loudly. Naruto winced at the loud voice. "Geez, it's like talking to Sakura." "Nope. It was more of a thing really," Naruto answered as he grabbed it and started chewing on it. Konohamaru looked at him like he was crazy. "Oh my god. Aniki. You're eating metal. Aniki has finally gone crazy." "Relax, Konohamaru-kun, and observe, remember a shinobi must look underneath the underneath," Naruto proclaimed as he picked at the edge of the and tore the metal off like paper, revealing a shaped chocolate. Konohamaru almost fainted from the awesomeness of what he had seen, and his friends weren't much better off. "Wow. Hidden chocolate. But why?" Naruto smiled at the question as tears poured from his eyes. "Well, you see, Hinata-chan won't let me eat any more chocolate. She says it's bad for me. But that's total bull. I mean, how can something that tastes so sweet be bad for me?" Naruto asked dramatically as Konohamaru nodded sagely. Yuden and Mogi just sighed at the two. It was funny how they had so much in common. "Hey. Naruto-kun." Naruto turned to the voice and saw Sakura heading over towards him. He smiled, even if she could be annoying the two were good friends, and Sakura would always consult Naruto about her love problems with Sasuke. "Yo, Sakura-chan. So how's it going with Sasuke-chan?" he asked in his normal lazy voice with both his hands securely placed in his pockets. Sakura smiled at her brother-like figure. "It's going really well. He's started to talk more often with me. Maybe we can even eat together sometime soon," she said excitedly. Naruto smiled at her happiness. "Naniki? Don't tell me this girl. Is she your girlfriend?" Konohamaru asked obliviously. Naruto just stared at him long and hard before speaking. "Seriously, Konohamaru-kun? Sakura? Dude, I'm single, not desperate." This earned Naruto a smack over the head from Sakura. "And what exactly is that supposed to mean?" She asked as a demonic aura rose from her body, making the four people look at her nervously. Haha, no nothing Sakura-chan, I was just kidding really. Oh really? That's it. Good isn't it? Sakura continued as she scared the four. In the instant she started moving. Naruto shouted, "Run for your lives." And that they did. They dashed through the streets with a demonic Sakura just behind them mumbling incoherent things. Konohamaru gained speed and turned sharply around a corner, only for the sound of something colliding to resound through the streets. Naruto turned around the corner in time to see Konohamaru getting lifted into the air by his scarf by a guy with purple makeup on his face and what looked like pajamas with cat ears. Next to him was a beautiful blonde woman with her hair set up in four small ponytails and a huge fan on her back. She was wearing a black combat dress and was trying to calm down her partner. They both had Sunagaker headbands on. Naruto's gaze hardened when he saw that Konohamaru was getting strangled. "Boy, I suggest you put down Konohamaru-kun before I do something you're gonna regret," Naruto said as he moved closer to the pajama guy. He noted offhandedly that he was a good few inches taller than both Sunanin. The pajama guy seemed pretty pissed off by his statement as he turned to glare at Naruto, only to recoil when he saw that Naruto's pupils had become slits. "Who the hell do you think you are?" he asked in an attempt to sound brave, but you could hear the fear in his voice. Naruto flashed him a crooked smile that made the blonde girl blush a bit. Suddenly Naruto was gone, and Konohamaru had left the pajama guy's grip. The Sunbin's eyes widened when they felt Naruto behind them with Konohamaru in his arms. They turned with amazing speed to face him, but the instant they made it all the way around he was behind them again, walking toward Sakura, Yuden and Mogi. He sat Konohamaru down and turned to face not the Sun Nuns, but the nearby tree. "Please come down, miss," he said kindly. Sand formed in a little whirlwind and then settled down revealing a beautiful girl. She had long red hair that reached her mid-back which was braided. Her face was cute but still held an aura of something dangerous, and why? Her eyes were a seafoam green with seemingly no pupils, and she had black rings around her eyes like a tanuki. She had the kanji for love on her forehead. She was wearing full-length dark trousers, a long-sleeved red coat with a flaring hemline, and a purplish-gray vest same as Shippuden. Her body, despite obviously being at Naruto and Sakura's age, was quite enviable for any girl, and out of the corner of his eye, Naruto could see Sakura glancing at the redhead's bosom. Even so, she showed the same signs of malnourishment that Naruto also had. 6 years of starvation and living off trash had left irreversible damage to Naruto's body. Strange. Mother doesn't want me to kill you. Who are you if I may inquire? The redhead spoke in monotone as she tilted her head and stared at Naruto. Naruto gave her a friendly smile back. "The name's Haddock Naruto, nice to meet ya," he said cheerfully. She nodded as she spoke. "These are my siblings Kankuro and Temari, my name is Sabaku no Gaara." Only then did she notice that Kankuro had turned pale. Slowly he spoke. "Haddock Naruto. Sharingan no Naruto. The guy who single-handedly took down Mamachi's Abusa, the demon of the mist. An A rank bordering on S rank Nukenin. He also took down 100 trained mercenaries single-handedly. Holy shit." He looked at Naruto with only a small amount of fear as it had been replaced with another emotion. "Aw." Naruto smiled at the boy now identified as Kankuro. "Do you know about me? I'm surprised. Didn't think word would spread as far as soon this fast. Well anyways, Kankuro-kun, Temari-san, Gaara-chan, I really need to get going. See you at the Chunin exams na," Naruto said as he smiled once again. He then turned and walked away with Sakura, Konohamaru, Yuden and Mogi following. As Gaara stared at Naruto's retreating back she felt something weird. He felt similar to her, but he radiated power like no other being she'd ever met before. Her vision flashed as she suddenly stood in her mindscape looking up at a giant tanuki, which despite its bestial features looked strangely female. Suddenly the being morphed and shifted turning into a beautiful woman. She had sandy blonde hair with blue streaks in it that went down to her lower back, she looked around 25 and had what people would describe as a killer body. She was garbed in a dark blue kimono that just barely covered her breasts and stopped them from spilling out. She tilted her head as she looked at her host's face. "Gaara-chan. What's wrong? You seem too shaken." The answer she received was not what she expected. "Shukaku-kasen. I just met a strange person. He's a Konoha shinobi. He felt like me, but he was ridiculously powerful. His chakra was cold like ice, yet it crackled like lightning. And when I tried to reach out to his chakra it combusted into black flames." Shukaku frowned. She hadn't ever heard of such an unique chakra and to be honest it piqued her curiosity. It had to be someone special. And Gaara said that he felt like her. Was he perhaps a Jinchuriki? She thought it over and tried to remember who she had heard about that could have been sealed in a ninja from Konoha. She shook herself from her stupor and closed her eyes, flashing through Gaara's memories, finding the one with Naruto and watching it from the point where he grabbed Konohamaru from Kankuro. To say she was surprised would be a huge understatement. This mortal was fast to the point of it just not being funny anymore. She had trouble following his movements, yet she could feel he was holding back quite a bit. There was something else that bothered her as well. She could feel 2kk Genkai from him. She tried feeling his chakra and then she suddenly realized just who this was. Ara-chan. This kid is the container of Kyuubi Nai-sama, she exclaimed. Ara's eyes widened almost comically. Another Jinchuriki like her. Shukaku offhandedly noticed that he was quite handsome. Then she noticed it some more. And some more. And then she started drooling and blushing profusely. It was probably because of Gaara's inexperience with boys that she hadn't yet noticed. Gaara sweat dropped as she saw a blush spreading across her Baija's face. Shukaku looked at Gaara intently as she spoke. Gaara-chan, we need to have a little discussion about the concept of hot guys. Gaara sweat dropped some more. Ankuro and Tamari looked at their sister strangely. They knew she was talking to her Biju, but they had never seen her talking so peacefully. Shaking it off, they grabbed her and led her back to the place they were currently staying at. Kurenai sighed as she watched her best friend Anko devour plate after plate of dango with speed that she had only seen when Naruto got ramen. Anko noticed her friend's distress and spoke up. What's wrong with Kuro-chan? You seem to drift off a lot. Don't tell me. You finally got a boyfriend. Kurenai almost showered Anko with her water. What? No. She blushed and sputtered out her answer. He doesn't really seem very convincing to me, Kuri-chan. Anko said in a teasing sing-song voice. So? Who is it? I already told you, I don't have a boyfriend. Kurenai said as she went back to eating her own plate of dango. Oh wait. Anko had already devoured that as well. So who do you have a crush on? Anko continued with a sly grin. Kurenai was lost in thought and answered before she could think her words through. Naruto-kun. It was like time froze. Kurenai's eyes widened as she turned to look at Anko, who was smiling gleefully. In a blur, Kurenai knocked out Anko and used a memory wipe on her and then woke her up. What happened? And why does my head hurt? She asked as she looked suspiciously at Kurenai, who put on her best innocent bystander face and shook her head. I don't know, you just suddenly passed out. Kurenai smiled and paid for the food and then hurried away before Anko could ask her anything else. As she exited the dango stand, she heard a familiar voice call out to her. Yo. You look a tad flustered. She turned to face the person she saw as a brother. Hey Asuma, fancy meeting you here. Yeah, I was heading to the Barbec bar and I'm going to enter my team in the Chunin exams. Heard Guy and Yamato are planning to do the same. How's it going with your team? Or should I say, with Naruto-kun? Asuma said the last thing with a smile. Asuma and Kurenai had been best friends since the academy and were often together. Many misinterpreted this and thought they were lovers. This couldn't get further from the truth. They were like siblings and knew everything about each other. Sadly, this meant he also knew about her schoolgirl crush on Naruto. On the other end of Konoha, Naruto sneezed for what felt like the 10th time that day. Man, I must be popular. Be quiet. Kurenai blushed as she continued. Anyways, I'm also joining my team. This'll be an exciting exam, huh? She asked as she looked at the sky. It had been unusually peaceful as of late. Asuma smiled. Kinda sucks for your kids, huh? Having to face and get defeated by my team? Asuma asked cockily. His team was good, but it wasn't hard to guess who the strongest rookie team was. Kurenai smiled at him. Your kids are indeed good. Naruto-kun himself praised your Nara and called him a genius, but my team is strong as well. Kurenai declared confidently. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to tell my team that I completely randomly and without regard for their safety have entered them into a contest that will most likely scar them for life or kill them. And then she left. Asuma stared after her. Isn't that breaking the fourth wall in a sense? Naruto said goodbye after finally prying Konohamaru off his leg and shunned Shin to the bridge where his teammates were waiting only to sweat drop. Shino was in the process of burying Kiba violently in the ground with a shovel and Hinata was desperately trying to stop Shino. What exactly happened here? Naruto asked as he got closer. Kiba here got his dog to urinate on my bugs. Shino spat with a great deal of anger in his normally emotionless voice. Naruto sighed. It was always like this, Kiba would do something extremely stupid, Shino would try to kill him, and Hinata would try to solve the problem. Naruto summoned some water and splashed all over Shino's bugs, and then used a low-level fire to dry them off. He then took a hold of Kiba and yanked him out of the ground much to his chagrin. Ouch ouch ouch, that hurts like a bitch. Be more careful with you, Kiba whined as he dusted himself off. It was your own fault, Kiba-kun, stop whining about it. Naruto told him. Hinata shot Naruto a grateful look before checking over her boyfriend and then lecturing him on proper behavior around other people. Thank you Taicho for saving my poor bugs, Shino said gratefully. Naruto smiled at him and then directed his attention to the other end of the bridge. So? What mission do we have today, sensei? He asked as leaves started swirling and then settled down revealing Kurenai. She smiled at them. You have today off, I only wanted to tell you that I have entered you in the Chunin exams. Sign these papers and meet at classroom 301 at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Good luck. And with a smile that was directed more at Naruto than the others, she vanished. Naruto sighed as he waved at the others. See you tomorrow I guess. He was answered by 3 simultaneous nods and a bark. He shunshed it away and appeared at the market district right in front of some Kumo ninja. He looked around and then yawned before getting a very secretive look on his face. Reaching into his pocket he found and peeled off the metal to reveal the delicious chocolate. He happily munched on the chocolate until he suddenly had a sword to the neck. Following the blade he found himself looking at a girl lad about his age with long blonde hair that was braided. She had black eyes and she seemed very much like a cat. She also showed heavy signs of malnourishment. It didn't take a genius to find out that she too was a Jinchuriki. Who the hell are you? Nibi-chan seems quite rattled by your appearance. Naruto stared long and hard at her. I do get a lot of comments about my appearance, especially from girls, he said flirtatiously. Anyways, the name's Haddock Naruto, and yours? She kept staring at him even when she answered. My name is Nai Yujito. Naruto smiled at her. I see, well nice meeting you, Miss Nai, Naruto said as he moved to walk away, only to find the blade poised at his throat again. Was there something I could help you with? He asked again with a smile. What are you? She asked in monotone. He seemed to think long and hard about it before answering completely seriously. A sugar addict. Yujito's face fainted. That's not what I meant. She yelled at him. He just smiled sheepishly and reached for something in his pocket. She tensed and readied herself for an attack, only to face fault again as he handed her a "Want some chocolate?" he asked cheerfully. She took it reluctantly and peeled off the metal and ate the chocolate. Wow. This is really good. She purred. He smiled. Well I must be off, Miss Nai, and then he turned and walked away. Fast as lightning and before anyone could stop her, Yujito threw a kunai at his back and not even a split second later, the very same kunai was pressed against her neck and Naruto was standing behind her. Wow, how the hell? Too fast. Too damn fast. Yujito thought. Her companions were stunned. Not even their master Kurabi was that fast, even when he used demon chakra. How the fuck? Who is this guy? The dark-skinned red-haired female thought. Her companion, also a dark-skinned person but male with white hair, was also stunned. Oh no. What if he moved so fast? He broke the sound barrier and created a temporal distortion. The fourth Kumonin, a fair-skinned blonde with ridiculously large breasts, was also shaken. He's faster than a demon-enhanced Kurabi-sensei, who would be able to do that. Who? Naruto smiled at Yujito as he handed her the kunai. You know you shouldn't throw dangerous pointy things at people. Or at least not innocent people. But then, how do you know which people are innocent and which people aren't? I'm gonna have to think it over. Naruto said with a concentrated look as he walked off, leaving 4 confused Kumonin. Naruto kept walking without really looking and suddenly bumped into someone. He hurriedly apologized. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. You okay? He asked as he pulled up the person he had accidentally knocked over. The person was female and had short black hair and pupil-less pink eyes. She was wearing a long, red kimono with the sleeve on her right arm missing, as well as the bottom left side of the kimono, fishnet tights and shorts over them. She took his hand as he pulled her up, but instead of letting it go, she grasped it tightly and examined him closer. This guy. Where have I seen him before? He seems awfully familiar for some reason. He smiled at her. Is there something I can help you with, miss? She smiled at him as she came to her senses. Kuretsuchi, my name is Kuretsuchi, and who might you be? She asked as she let go of his hand. The name's Haddock Naruto, nice to meet you, Naruto answered cheerfully and was then sent flying through the air, only to land perfectly like nothing had happened. Miss Kuretsuchi. Did I say something wrong? His answer was an eerie smile. You're the guy that beat Mamachi's abuser, no? I'd like to see that strength for myself, she said as she charged. Naruto did the only thing a guy whose pride had just been challenged would do. He ran while screaming like a little girl. I mean seriously, there's nothing as scary as an angry woman. I just lost all my female readers. If I have any. Finally, after several hours of fleeing, Naruto made it back to the safety of his home. Just so we're clear, he lives in Kakashi's house as he inherited all of Kakashi's belongings along with a small fortune. I'm home. He yelled even though he knew he wasn't getting an answer. As lazy as ever he started cooking dinner, amazing how the time flies by when you're running for your life. After dinner he went to bed, after all he had a long day ahead of him. At the Inyazuka household. Inyazuka Hana laughed menacingly to herself as she looked at her work. But this outfit, seducing Naru-kun, will be easy. And then. She mumbled to herself incoherently as she drooled and a huge blush made its way onto her face. At Naruto's house. Naruto shivered as he laid in his bed. I sense a disturbance in the force. He thought as he fell asleep. Only to wake up and see one of his tenants' big red eyes staring at him. He stared back in what felt like hours until finally the eye blinked and Kyuubi roared in rage. "Nuo. Why can I never beat you in this? You never blink at all. To be beaten by a mere human. How shameful." Naruto smiled at the giant demon fox. "Relax, Kyuubi-sama. You'll probably win one of these days. So? Why did you call me here?" Naruto reassured the demon lord as he turned his attention to his tenant. "HMPH. Easy for you to say. You always win. Anyways, I wanted to warn you about those two girls. Sabaku no Gara and Naiujido. Both of them are demon containers. If I'm right, they probably contain the Ichibi and Nibi." Naruto looked at him suspiciously and then a perverted smile made its way onto his face. If those two demons like their hosts are female. Then. Don't tell me you've. He trailed off as he grinned at the demon lord. Kyuubi deadpanned. "I should never have let you read those Icha books, should I? But seriously, we are like brothers and sisters." "I see. Thanks for the heads up, now I think you need some sleep as well, Kyuubi-sama, we have a long day tomorrow." Naruto said as he slowly faded from his mindscape, leaving a fuming demon lord who instantly tried to figure out ways to win in their staring contest. At classroom 301 the following day. Naruto yawned lazily as he reached the classroom and noticed his team waiting. Raising a hand in a lazy greeting which was returned with much anxiety and nervousness, they went inside, only to be greeted by a huge crowd of Chunin hopefuls gathered around the door leading to the classroom. Two boys that looked quite a lot older than the rest were blocking it. They had knocked down a kid in a green spandex suit with bowl-cut hair. When Naruto saw this, a devious smile appeared on his face. "I see. Good plan, Lee-kun. Now I know you might think us cruel, but this is for your own good. The Chunin exams are super hard and every year people get killed. Not only that, it's seriously hard to pass. My friend and I have failed it 3 times already." One of the two said as he looked at the genins and saw their faces of distraught and fear and smiled to himself. His evil smile was lost when Naruto greeted him. "Yo Izumo-chan, Katetsu-chan. You guys riling up the kids. Shame on you guys, and not only that. You even put up a genjutsu to fool us." Naruto smiled at the two disguised Chunin as they gawked at him. "Naruto. It's supposed to be a secret to test people. To see who's worthy." They roared at him as he just stared blankly back at them. Whoops," he said sheepishly as tick marks appeared on their faces. Wise as he was, Naruto decided to flee and his team was right behind him. After they'd left the raging Chunin behind and had headed to the second floor, Naruto suddenly turned and kicked only for his kick to impact with another leg and send the offender back down the hallway, revealing it to be the green-clad kid from before. Behind him stood a girl with her brown hair and 2 buns and a Chinese dress and a huge scroll strapped to her back. Beside her stood a beautiful girl with long brown hair wearing a traditional Hyuga robe. Her assets were like Hinata's, quite large, and that was even with a robe covering most of her bust. Her Byakugan held a tint of grey-purple. She was glaring slightly at Hinata. "Yo Lee-kun. Long time no see," Naruto greeted the spandex-wearing boy as he took in the 3 people before him. His team looked surprised that he knew such a person. "Yosh. It's good to see you again, Naruto-kun. And to see your flames of youth burning brightly as always," Lee exclaimed, making everyone sweat drop. "Ha. Ha. Right. Likewise," Naruto said as he tried finding an answer to the very energetic greeting. Fire seemed to ignite in Lee's eyes. "Such a youthful greeting, Naruto-kun. Come. We must all hail youth," he screamed as he ran around in circles. Naruto took a few steps back. "Okay. I guess it's best not to get smitten by him. Craziness." Suddenly Lee stopped and looked back and forth between his team and Naruto's team and then he started screaming again. "Oh no. I have failed you, Guy-sensei. I have forgotten to introduce my teammates. Such unyouthfulness. I must be punished when the Chunin exams are over." The girl with the bun sighed and looked at her teammate while shaking her head. "My name is Tenten and this is Hyuga Niji," she said as she pointed at the other Hyuga. The woman now identified as Niji shifted her gaze from Hinata to Naruto and they stared at each other. Suddenly, Naruto remembered the time. "Oh crap. We gotta get to the exams," he exclaimed, which woke the other up from their staring contests. Naruto waved to Team Guy before following his team to the place where the exams would be held. When they entered they were instantly met with glares from about 150 genins, and Naruto easily recognized the Kumonin and the girl that had chased him all day long. In the corner he noticed the red-headed beauty from the sand, staring intensely at him. He smiled at her and she hurriedly looked away. Well, I guess they let just about anyone in nowadays," the voice of one Uchiha Sasuke rang out. Naruto pretended he didn't hear him but just stared at Sasuke's hair, then he whispered to Kiba. "Did that duck's ass just talk to us?" he asked, making Kiba, Hinata and everyone in the vicinity laugh, even the stoic Shino cracked a smile. Sasuke's face turned all different kinds of colors before settling on an angry red. "One day. "I'm gonna kill you," he said as he glared at Naruto, to which Naruto just smiled kindly. "Silly Sasuke-chan. That'd mean you were stronger than me." Sasuke glared once again. Behind him came Sakura and Sai. Sakura smiled at Naruto, and when their eyes met they went into LDTM, love discussion telepathy mode. "How's it going with Sasuke-chan?" "It's going really well. We studied together before we came here. He said he wanted to be sure he was ready for anything. I know he just said it to get some alone time with me." The optimistic response came from Sakura. Naruto's sweat dropped. If that's what she wants to believe. He thought. He nodded to Sai and then noticed the other rookie teams from their class heading towards them. They greeted each other and started talking amongst themselves about what they had done since becoming genin. Suddenly they were approached by another Konoha genin. "You know, you shouldn't be so loud. Everyone is a bit on edge at the moment." Sasuke glared at him. "Who the hell are you?" he asked rudely. The boy smiled disarmingly at him. "My name is Ikushi Kabuto. I'm a Konoha genin like you. The exams are hard and I just wanted to give you some advice. It's my 4th year here, you know. That's how hard it is." Most of the Konoha genin look surprised and frightened. "Because you're my cute juniors, I'll help you out a bit. These are my nin info cards. I have information on everyone in this room, so ask away." Kabuto said as he withdrew the cards and showed them. Sasuke decided to speak up. "Haddock Naruto." Naruto rolled his eyes in annoyance. Kabuto smiled as he glanced at Naruto. "Here it is." He was about to reveal Naruto's stats when Naruto quickly cut through the card. Scary, because no one had noticed him move, draw or unsheath his sword. "I believe I'll keep my abilities a secret just a little while longer, Kabuto-san," he said with a smile. Then he whispered into Kabuto's ear so only he could hear. "Be careful, Snake-kun. You smell pretty bad. Oh, and give Irachi-chan my regards, would ya?" Kabuto paled visibly. One of the Iwa nin scoffed, and along with his team, he started pouring killer intent out towards the Konoha nin. Sakura gasped as the Kai rushed over them like a wave smothering them. The only ones who weren't affected were Naruto's team and Sai. Sasuke was a bit shaken but managed to hide it. Hiba chuckled slightly. "This Kai is nothing compared to Zabuza's or Haku's." Naruto smiled in agreement. "Now, how about I show this guy what true Kai is?" Naruto thought. And then. He let loose hell on earth. All sounds were blocked out as the air around Naruto warped and twisted. The Iwa team fell to their knees panting with huge beads of sweat pouring down their faces as they looked at him in fear. Several other teams started panting and sweating. The Kumo team were shocked, as were the girl from yesterday and the Suna nins. This was so different from the goofy carefree person they'd met yesterday. Amoy and Kari were sweating, and Samui was panting. Yujito clutched her chest as the Nibi screamed in fear and respect inside her cage. "Yujito-chan. I was right. This level of Kai is terrifying, but it's still human. But I can feel the being resonating within him. He's a Jinchuriki, I don't know which. But it's strong." Yujito's eyes widened almost comically. "This guy. Is it like me?" She only ever knew one other person like her. That was her friend and Sensei Kurabi. Kuritsuchi smiled viciously, even as sweat poured down her face. She had been disappointed when she'd met him the other day. She had thought that it was a mistake. That someone must have lied about him beating Zabuza. But with Kai like this? It was insane. This'll be a fun exam." Ara smiled slightly psychotically as her sand danced around her feet, writhing and snaking as a dying animal. The Ichibi shook in her cage. "It's this strangely familiar feeling. He's definitely Kyuubi Nayasama's Jinchuriki," she concluded. Naruto's voice rang out cold and unforgiving. "What? I hope this isn't the limit of what you can take. This is only 1/3 of my Kai." Most of the genin looked at him in fear until a boot came flying through the air and hit him straight on. Everyone turned to look at Marino Ibiki as he glared at Naruto. "Haddock. Cut that out. I don't want you mentally scarring the new blood this early." Many genin smiled appreciatively before paling when he spoke again. "Before I can." This made most of the people sweat drop at the scarred interrogator before noticing that the pressure had disappeared. "Sorry Scarface-chan, I got carried away," Naruto said. He glared one last time at the shaking Iwa team before sighing and listening to Ibiki. "Alright, maggots. Now you'll have a test to examine your knowledge. We can't have morons parading about as Chunin," Naruto whispered to Kiba. "Then what are Katetsu and Izumo doing here?" Kiba snickered. After explaining the rules and taking their seats, the exam started. Naruto read the test over. "I see. What a mean test," he thought as he instantly saw through it. He cast an intricate ninjutsu with his hands under his table and then activated his Sharingan. He located a Chunin in disguise and copied him. He then activated second part of his master plan called "Screw everyone over with your totally awesome cheating abilities." "Yeah, I know. He likes long names." "Telepathy technique," Naruto whispered as he reached out with his chakra and connected with the people he wanted to affect. Smiling as he felt the familiar chakra of Hinata, Kiba and Shino. He closed his eyes and focused on them. "Hey you guys, it's me, Naruto. Don't freak out. I'm speaking to you through our chakra. Listen, all of these questions are way too hard for any genin except Sakura to answer. This is without a doubt an information gathering test. We need to use our special skills to gather info from the chunin placed around the room. Normally I'd give you the answers, but look at this as another one of your tests from me. Now snap to it." Teammate immediately initiated a plan. "Screw everyone over with your totally awesome cheating abilities." Naruto noted that many of the other genin had finally realized what the test was about. His experienced eyes darted around the room as he watched the other ninjas. When the allotted time was over, Ibiki spoke up. "Alright maggots, now it's time for the 10th and final question." Ibiki explained the rules. Needless to say, most of the ninjas were shocked. What the hell? This is ridiculous. There are guys here who's on their second and third year. Hell, even their fourth. Ibiki chuckled in a very maniacal way. "That might be. But this year it's my exam and my rules." Silence befell the classroom as many people started raising their hands. "I quit. Sorry guys. I can't do this." Suddenly the 150 genin had been reduced to 75. Ibiki smiled. The rest were still nervous and many of them were shaking, trying to hold back the urge to quit. Then he noticed Naruto, and instantly his cold, superior interrogator mask fell in favor of an annoyed one. "Haddock. What the hell are you doing?" Everyone turned to see Naruto slumped across his table sleeping. Ibiki had a huge tick mark at the back of his head as he searched for something sharp to throw at Naruto. When he couldn't find anything, he settled for throwing his chalk. Right before it would have hit him, Naruto waved his hand and the chalk was sliced to dust before reaching its target. As if to insult him further, Naruto yawned loudly. "Sup Scarface-chan?" he asked, annoyed that he'd been woken up. Ibiki just stared dumbfounded at him. "You little brat. I'm in the middle of explaining the 10th question." Ibiki roared as everyone's sweat dropped. Naruto sighed annoyed as he waved Ibiki off. Yeah, that's nice, now would you be quiet? I mean seriously. Even if we don't become Chunin, we can advance to Jounin just as easily. Besides, I think I'm gonna aim for the Hokage title. You know, to rub it in everyone's faces. So not becoming Chunin wouldn't really be that much of a blow to me. Oh. It would be funny to kick Jounin ass as a genin anyway," Naruto said offhandedly. The effect was instantaneous. The people who'd been unsure of what to do were now smiling confidently at each other. Ibiki smiled amusedly. "This brat wiped away all of their worries just like that, huh? It seems this year will be interesting." "Alright then, you rejects. You all pass," he said with a huge smile. Everyone's sweat dropped as they thought collectively. His personality totally changed. "What the hell is this?" Just like that. Sakura screamed in surprise. Ibiki explained the reasons and the meaning behind the 10th question. Suddenly he perked up as a black thing attached to 4 kunai crashed through the window. The kunai spread out in the room, revealing it to be a banner reading, "The examiner of the second test. Why Snake Mistress Mitarashi Anko." A loud thud was heard on the wall just outside the window and then a female voice screaming. "Oh my god. My nose. Damn it, that hurt like hell." Everyone's sweat dropped as Anko crawled through the window with the imprint of a wall on her face. She was grumbling about stupid exams and retarded classroom locations. She looked around and glared at everyone and everything before speaking. "Training ground 44. Follow me now. Speak and I'll gut ya." And with that she jumped through the window. Everyone was left staring at the place where she left before they scrambled and ran full power to try and keep up with her. Naruto sighed as he stood from his seat and Shino, Kiba and Hinata approached him. Space warped around them as they were sucked into his Kanpeki Sharingan. Anko had just arrived at the training ground when she saw the space rift and then teammate appearing from within it. She could have sworn that one of the kids' eyes were red, but when she looked again she saw only blue and green. Shaking her head, she turned back and waited for the rest to arrive. Once they did, they noticed that Naruto's team was already there. Ibiki collected the exam papers as he reached Naruto's. The hell is this? He thought out loud as he read the note. "Dear Scarface-chan. I just wanted to tell you that Yakushi Kabuto has the stench of snakes all over him. The same kind as that man. You might want to tell the Hokage. For now it would be best if you didn't tell Anko-chan about it, she'd freak. Love, Haddock Naruto. P.S. You seriously need to get laid." Ibiki crushed the note in his hand as he left to report to the Hokage. People jumped left and right to avoid him as he had a tick mark the size of the Hokage tower and a dark and very scary aura was coming off of him. Anko sighed when everyone arrived as she explained the rules. She noticed Naruto wasn't paying attention and in annoyance, she threw a kunai at him before appearing behind him and grabbing the kunai. She would have cut his cheek if it wasn't for the water that sprouted out of nowhere and formed a barrier in between them. Everyone started not believing what they'd seen. Had he just pulled water out of nowhere? Anko glared at him as he smiled innocently back. She jumped back to make some distance. That was unexpected. Seems like you aren't just a cute face, eh boy? She asked as she smiled at him. He stared back. Rapist. He deadpanned as she yelled at him. The hell is that supposed to mean? Calming herself down, she finished the explanation and gestured for each team to grab a scroll. Naruto examined their heaven scroll as he looked over his 3 teammates plus 1 dog. All of them seemed nervous. Kiba's usually loud and confident personality was gone. Hinata was showing signs of insecurity again, and even Shino couldn't hold his impassive mask much longer. Naruto smiled at them. Listen to all of you. We're gonna make it through this. All of you are strong. You've grown way much since we became a team, Kurenai-sensei said so as well. As long as we stick together we're gonna be fine. Besides, I don't let my comrades die alright. He finished with a smile. They all smiled back at him, their confidence restored. They shifted their attention to Anko. And with that I hereby begin. The second test. Chapter 5. Clash of Jutsu. Ice style revealed. Naruto's eyes sped from right to left looking for any signs of danger. Kiba and Hinata were the lead scouts. Suddenly Kiba motioned for them to stop and they did. Somewhere along the way, Naruto had put his forehead protector back over his eye. What is Kiba-kun? Naruto asked ever lazy. I smell something up ahead. It's weird. It smells familiar, but I can't place it. Naruto frowned. Hinata-chan. She nodded and activated her Byakugan. 5 seconds later she gasped loudly. What's wrong? It's horrible. It's a team from Kiri. They've been crushed to death. Everyone stiffened. Naruto motioned for them to stay where they were as he jumped to the clearing. He had to shield his nose with his hand, it was disgusting. Their limbs were torn to pieces, and one of them was missing the right side of his skull. He noticed a few specks of sand on the corpses, and he paled a bit. This looks like Gaara-chan's handiwork. Shit. She's dangerous. He sighed. Shinning to his team, he quickly told them what he discovered. They nodded and decided to move further in. About 5 minutes later they landed in a clearing where Naruto for some reason stopped. They looked at him confused. You can come out now, here we can have an open battle, nah? He asked the bushes. The 3 I went in from the first exam came jumping out. You bastard, we'll pay you back big time. The leader roared. Naruto sighed lazily. Kiba-kun, Hinata-chan, Shino-kun, don't interfere. They nodded and jumped back into the trees. Are you sure this is a good idea? You could barely stand my Kai back there. Naruto said concerned. Oh fuck yourself. You're going fucking down asshole. The leader roared. Wow, that's a nice mouth you got there. Your mom must be really proud huh? Naruto deadpanned. The leader charged at him withdrawing 2 kunai while the 2 in the back went through hand signs. Earth release. Fall of grace technique. They called out as one. The earth shifted and broke around Naruto's feet as rock pillars sprouted and tried to skewer him. In that same moment the leader was upon him, swinging down his kunai. Naruto sighed annoyed. Chidori Nagashi. He whispered. 1000 birds current. Chirping was heard as lightning exploded around him, easily cutting through the rock pillars and hitting the Iowa leader square in the stomach. He gasped as his body went numb and he was blown several meters backwards into a tree. Listen, just give us your scroll and I'll let you live. Naruto reasoned. No fucking way. All you Konoha dogs are gonna die. One of them screamed. He withdrew a kunai and was about to throw it when he lost all feeling in his arm. Glancing to the right his eyes widened. Buried into his arm was a spear of lightning. Only now did he hear the chirping sound. It had gone all the way through. Looking back at Naruto his eyes widened once again when he saw the technique. Chidori Izum Naruto said. 1000 birds sharp spear. Give me your scroll and I'll let all of you get away alive. You still have a chance at getting both scrolls, is it worth it to risk your life here? Naruto asked, annoyed. My family was all but wiped out in the Great Ninja War. By your 4th Hokage. Like hell am I gonna let a Konoha ninja get away? The 3rd ninja called out. The one with the hole in the arm glared and nodded. Their leader was unable to move at all. Naruto shook his head as they dashed at him. The one with the useless arm grabbed a kunai in his left hand and charged at full speed towards Naruto. The other one formed a rock clone and they both flanked him. Naruto withdrew a kunai and blocked the one in front of him, but in that instant the ninja and his clone made it to him and stabbed him in the side. They smirked until he turned into rock. Rock clone? Impossible, how does he know that? Naruto threw 3 lazily, each of them hitting an Iwan in at a critical spot, causing them to slump to the ground unconscious and the clone to crumble back to the earth. Naruto quickly searched their pockets finding several kunai and scrolls with techniques. He finally found their scroll. They have an earth scroll. How convenient. He chuckled. His team jumped down behind him. Is it a good idea not to kill them off? They might cause us trouble later on. Shino trailed off. We are shinobi, we deal in death. That doesn't mean we should indiscriminately kill anyone that crosses us. We are humans, not animals. Naruto explained. Shino nodded. They had quickly learned that while Naruto wasn't afraid of killing, he tried to avoid it. He had almost all life as a precious politician. Ironic when you think about it. Let's go, we're sitting ducks out here. Kiba-kun, Hinata-chan, in front with Byakugan on. We don't want anyone sneaking up on us or ambushing us. You cover the rear. They nodded and headed out. Naruto frowned as he felt something up ahead. He motioned for his team to go on as he followed it and saw a team of Kiri ninja. He noticed they'd already collected both an earth and a heaven scroll. He smirked slightly as lightning flared to life around his hands. He swooped down upon the team like a hawk. They never saw it coming. Lightning dragons roar. He whispered as he reared back his head and spit out a steady stream of white lightning. The white lightning quickly made it to the unsuspecting group and crashed into their midst, blowing them in all directions. One hit a tree and slumped to the ground in an unconscious heap. Lightning Dragon's heavenly claw. He yelled as he reached the second. Lightning flared to life on his foot as he kicked the nin hard in the stomach, sending him airborne. Naruto appeared behind him instantly and placed both his hands on his opponent's back. Lightning Dragon subjugation. He called out. Lightning spread from his hands and entered the nin's spine. Kiri nin jerked as his nerves and body gave out. He also crashed down into the ground unconscious. Naruto looked at the last one, the team's medic who was staring at him wide-eyed. Give me your scroll and I'll spare you. She nodded and quickly gave him their scroll. Naruto looked up as he felt a sick and powerful chakra from somewhere in the forest. That's not Genin or Chunin level in any way. He frowned. Somewhere else in the forest of candy. I mean death. Sasuke gasped as he was smacked hard into a tree. He couldn't believe it, this grass nin was actually Orochimaru himself. One of the legendary Sannin. Shakily he got up, his Sharingan eyes glaring furiously at the man before him. Said man chuckled maliciously. Kuku, such scary eyes Sasuke-kun has. I must say I'm surprised, you put up quite a nice fight. Still it is to no avail. Tell me, what have you been doing here? In this village? Surrounding yourself with friends and comfort while you should be training. You will never catch up to your brother like this, Sasuke-kun. Sasuke's eyes widened, this man knew of Itachi. What do you know about Itachi? Do you know where he is? What he is doing? Tell me. Sasuke roared. To what end? So that he may kill you? You are far from his level in strength Sasuke-kun. But I can make you strong. Strong enough to defeat him. Come with me Sasuke-kun, I shall grant you the power you desire. Orochimaru offered. Sasuke's eyes widened. This man help him. But he had to leave this village. It meant nothing if he had the power to avenge his clan. He was about to accept it when he remembered something from long ago. Flashback. Of doom. Two young boys were sitting by the water, staring at the night sky above them. One had raven-colored hair and the other had bright orange. The raven-haired child glanced at his friend. I want to become stronger. So that I can avenge my clan. So that I can kill Itachi. But I need to get much stronger than I am now. The orange-haired kid lightly touched the other's shoulder. Don't worry about it Sasuke. I'll train and become strong too and then we can defeat Itachi together. No way. This is my fight. He let me live, he wanted me to be an avenger. I can't drag you into this. The orange-haired child frowned. Well I'm your friend and I sure as hell ain't letting you go without me. I'm gonna help you even if you don't want me to. But Naruto. What if I can't gain the strength I need in this village? Sasuke asked worriedly. Naruto smiled. The Sasuke? Do you think Itachi would have been able to defeat the first Hokage? Or the second? Or the third back in his prime? Or the fourth? What about Jiraiya, the strongest of the three Sannin? The legendary White Fang of Konoha Sasuke shook his head. All of those people stayed loyal to their village and through it gained great strength. Don't walk the path Itachi wants you to. Carve your own path with your own absolute strength. Show him that you don't need him to become the strongest. Naruto cheered. Sasuke nodded with a smile. You're right. We're gonna get stronger and then we're gonna defeat Itachi. I'll show him. Will you help me he asked as he held out his hand. Naruto took it smiling. Hell yeah. Flashback. Of doom. End. Sasuke smiled. Sorry, Orochi theme. But I don't need your help. I'm gonna surpass the peak myself. I don't need some weak traitor's help. I am Uchiha Sasuke, shinobi of Konoha. He roared. Orochimaru snarled. Then you are useless to me Uchiha Sasuke, die. He hissed as he charged. Seconds before he reached Sasuke, a kunai flew out and forced him to jump back. Sasuke looked around, his eyes widening. In front of him stood an individual with bright orange spiky hair. Yo Sasuke, sorry I'm late, traffic was a bitch, so I had to take a detour, but on my way here I saw this old lady, and I had to help her. Sasuke couldn't help but chuckle. Don't worry about it, just kick his ass. Naruto nodded as his team arrived on scene. Hinata healed Sasuke while Kiba and Shino picked up Sakura and Sai. Orochimaru scanned his form with a critical look. And who might you be? His snake-like eyes looked for any signs of weakness. The name's Chuck, I'm just your average pizza delivery guy. Naruto answered smiling. Kuku, well, it seems like we have a comedian. Alright, I guess I'll play with you for a bit. Orochimaru dashed forward as Naruto breathed in and then flashed through hand seals. Ice release. Icy floor technique. He called out as he touched the ground which instantly froze the whole clearing. What? Ice release. Orochimaru wasn't expecting the sudden change in footing and almost slipped. That small opening was all Naruto needed as he dashed forward, wind chakra flowing through his blade. He appeared right behind Orochimaru as he swung his sword. Orochimaru turned his whole upper body and spit out a sword which clashed with Naruto's own. The two began an intricate dance of death as each went for a killing blow. Naruto jumped back as he went through more hand seals. High release. Great fireball technique. The large fireball filled Orochimaru's field of vision, but he just smiled as he channeled chakra to his legs and jumped high above the large fire attack. Not a second later, several smaller fireballs came towards Orochimaru with a call of high release. Phoenix Age fire technique. Orochimaru's eyes widened. He's fast. Orochimaru hurriedly flashed through several seals as he breathed in. Water release. Water encampment wall technique. Water gushed forth from his mouth and created a wall around him. The fireballs fizzled out, revealing several lightning-infused shuriken which Orochimaru barely dodged midair using his unnatural grace. Naruto frowned. The hell? Doesn't this snake psycho have joints? Then Naruto smiled as he pulled a bit with his fingers. The light hit it just right, showing several wires attached to the shuriken. They hurriedly bound Orochimaru, who looked shocked as Naruto went on. High release. Dragon fire technique. He breathed out fire which trailed along the wires before convening on Orochimaru, who was burned to a crisp. Naruto took no chances however. High release. Fire dragon flame bullet technique. Naruto reared his head back and then spit forth a giant fire dragon which crashed right where Orochimaru stood. That was my second most powerful fire release technique. I hope it did some damage. Orochimaru's shape could be seen through the dust cloud as Naruto disappeared and reappeared behind Orochimaru with his sword right through Orochimaru's back. Naruto's eyes widened as Orochimaru crumbled to dirt. Rock clone. Damn it. Suddenly Naruto had a long sword protruding from his own chest as Orochimaru stood behind him smirking. Orochimaru's smile disappeared as the Naruto turned to dirt as well. He knows it too. Water release. Exploding water colliding wave technique. Naruto called out as water appeared from the atmosphere around him and crashed into Orochimaru. Impossible. He can draw water from the very atmosphere. But only the second Hokage could do that. Naruto wasn't done however. Water release. Great waterfall technique. The water from the previous attack rose up several meters into the air before crashing down on Orochimaru full force. This is ridiculous. How much chakra does this brat have? And why does he know so many high-level techniques? Naruto breathed in as he went through even more hand seals. Water release. Water dragon bullet technique. An enormous water dragon rose from the combined water of the last two techniques before crashing into Orochimaru full force. Ice release. Ice dragon bullet technique. He called out as the water froze and a large ice dragon rose. It roared before crashing full speed into where Orochimaru was laying. As it crashed into the ground, ice spikes appeared in the impact area. Naruto ran up a tree before jumping into the air. Water release. Great whirlpool pillar technique. He pulled water out of the atmosphere which formed into a large water whirlpool pillar which extended several meters into the air, containing everything within it due to the speed of the water. Naruto wasn't done however. Ice release. Frozen whirl pillar technique. He called out as the large whirlpool froze to a solid tower of ice. The ice then cracked into several million tiny pieces, killing everything within it. Naruto didn't want to take any chances however, so he created a shadow clone. Ice release. Hailstorm technique. He called out as large ice spikes formed high up in the air before crashing down into the ground where Orochimaru lay with blinding speed. Like the dragon, wherever they touched the ground ice spikes erupted. The clone was also done. Wind release. Great hurricane pillar technique. Like the whirlpool, a large pillar of shredding and cutting wind erupted from Orochimaru's position. Naruto was panting heavily now. Sickening sounds were heard as Orochimaru rose from where he had been smashed into the ground. Amazing. Such control and power. You are quite an interesting child. I must leave now, but you'll see me again very soon. Sound 4, come to me. As if rehearsed, 4 people appeared kneeling. One was a girl with long red hair. The next was a large man with a mohawk. Then came a man with bluish-gray hair and what looked like a head sticking out of his back. And finally came Spider-Man. I mean some black-skinned guy with 4 arms and 4 legs. Kill them all and bring me Sasuke's body. Orochimaru hissed and then disappeared. Naruto sighed as he stepped forward and then blurred out of sight, reappearing with his hand in the large man's stomach. He coughed up blood as Naruto hit him 2 more times before sending him flying into a tree on the far side of the clearing. He shakily got up. What the hell? He roared. Let's go to V2. We have no time to waste here. We need to split before the Hokage and his lapdogs realize we're here. The supposedly leader of the group, the bluish gray-haired kid, said. They all nodded as they kicked their seals into level 2. Naruto raised an eyebrow in amusement as he saw their new forms. He shook his head as he drew his sword and channeled wind chakra into it. He dashed forward and struck out toward Spider-Man. Spider-Man dodged to the side and then screamed as his right arm was cut clean off. What the hell? You fucking bastard. He roared as he charged. The big guy followed not even 2 seconds later. 5 minutes later. Of doom. Seiken started as 2 of the Sound 4, some of Orochimaru's most powerful agents, lay dead. Spider-Man had lost all of his limbs before getting his head cut clean off his shoulders. Jirobo had a hole the size of fist through his heart. Somewhere in the back of his head Naruto could hear a tiny voice going, "Didn't you say that killing should be avoided about 5 minutes ago?" Naruto chalked it up to his conscience, amazed that he still had one, after living with a pervert and his godfather being ultra pervert. This is. No freaking way. This guy's a monster. He's on par with Kimimaro. Teiya. We're retreating. He called out. Something warm spread around his heart and he looked down to see a monstrous claw-like appendage sticking out through his chest. Looking up he saw Teiya. What? Teiya. Why you? Seiken slumped to the ground dead. Teiya scoffed before marching across the clearing towards Naruto. When she was close enough she pounced on him and kissed him deeply. Wow, guess you missed me, huh, demon girl? Naruto said with a smirk. Shut up, asshole, about damn fucking time. I was beginning to get sick of playing fucking spy for you and that white-haired pervert. She said with a light blush. Naruto chuckled. Taicho. Who's she? Kiba asked, confused. This is Teiya, she has been serving as Hiro Sennin spy in Orochimaru's ranks. We decided to pull her out since he's been getting suspicious. Damn straight, she muttered as her curse seal retracted. Shino-kun, Kiba-kun, Hinata-chan. Take Sasuke and his team and get to the tower. Here, take this. He said as he tossed them some scrolls. Where did you get these? Hinata asked. Don't ask, anyways tell the proctor that I've gone to the Hokage. I know we need to finish this as a team, but this is a special case. Get Sasuke's team there as well and then rest up. He ordered. They nodded and jumped towards the tower. Naruto sighed as he held out his hand. Ready to go kill that seal of yours, Tei-chan? She smiled and nodded. She took his hand and they disappeared in a shunshin. They reappeared in the Hokage office where Sarutobi and Jiraiya were waiting for them. They both smiled as Jiraiya gestured towards a waiting chair. Teiya sat down as she removed some of her clothes, revealing her curse mark. You ready, Gaki? You know you're the only one who can do this. Jiraiya boomed. Of course, Hiro Sennin. Are you ready for Tei-chan? He asked the girl. She nodded. He went through about 100 hand seals with blinding speed. Curse removal. Transference of soul. He called out as he touched Teiya's seal. She hissed lightly as a white snake sprouted from the seal and started wrapping itself around Naruto's arm and dug itself into his neck. Kyuubi-sama, if you please. Hell yeah, Kit. Naruto smiled as Kyuubi's chakra flooded his chakra coils, exterminating the snake. Teiya's seal had turned pure white. Is it over? She asked light-headed. Yeah, I've killed the piece of soul in the seal. You'll still have the ability to use it to boost your chakra and such, but there shouldn't be any more problems with it. She nodded. I could really use a bath right now. She muttered. She tried to stand, but her legs gave out from under her and she almost fell. Naruto quickly grabbed her and picked her up. Teiya blushed while mumbling about retarded orange-haired idiots. I'll take her to my house, it's reinforced with several seals so she'll be safe there. The two men nodded. Naruto quickly disappeared in a shin-shin. Sarutobi sighed while Jiraiya grinned like a pervert madman. He, genius, seal master and womanizer. Man, that kid is Minato reborn. They both chuckled. At the Haddock family house. Wow, this isn't a bad place at all, asshole. Teiya whistled impressed. Yeah, it's been passed down through the family for years. He said as he carried her upstairs. He laid her down on his king-sized bed. There's towels in the bathroom. There's some money downstairs, go get yourself some new clothes. I'll be back tonight. If you get hungry, feel free to make some food. She nodded. He turned to leave, but stopped when she took a hold of his wrist. She dragged him down and lightly pecked him on the mouth. See ya tonight, asshole. She blushed. He chuckled. See ya. And then he disappeared in a shunshin. At the tower in the middle of the forest of death. Of doom. Naruto looked around quickly and decided to ask one of the Chunin about the location of his team. They're in the room right down the hall, Haddock-san. He nodded. He reached the room and opened it to see Hinata lightly healing Akamaru while Kiba and Shino played shogi. Wait, what? Kiba playing shogi? The world must be ending. Yo, sorry I'm late. It got a bit dragged out. He greeted me lazily. Hey Taicho. The final team is estimated to arrive somewhere around now, so you just made it. Kiba informed him. He nodded and sat down cross-legged, breathing out deeply as he felt the usual calm feeling he got when meditating. Ayubi-sama, you got anything on that nasty chakra? He asked. Sorry kid, I've got nothing. I can see that it's meant to control the user, but not really anything else. Naruto frowned. Aicho, it's finally time for the prelims. Kiba exclaimed. Naruto nodded. He noticed that Kiba was shaking slightly from anxiety and excitement. Relax, Kiba-kun. Don't let your excitement get the best of you. Shinobi always have a cool and calm attitude, remember? Kiba nodded. They reached the open area where the last of the genin had finally arrived. Jumping over the railing they filed into their lines. The Hokage stood there proudly with his jounin and the proctors. Then he spoke. Everyone, I congratulate you for coming this far. Each and every one of you has shown yourself to be resourceful, strong, intelligent and good comrades. But now comes the true test. For now you shall battle each other in one-on-one matches. Be careful, for killing is allowed. The third explained. He then went on to explain the true reason behind the Chunin exams. Naruto turned him out as he watched the other teams. There was the Suna team and the Kumo team, along with Kuretsuchi's team. He smiled. He turned and looked forward once again. He couldn't concentrate on the speech however, and his eyes slowly slid close. Everyone's sweat dropped when he began to snore lightly indicating he was asleep. Once again Ibiki decided to hurt him and fired another deadly barrage of chalk at him. Naruto sensed the incoming danger and as a reflex flared his chakra, causing everything around him to freeze to ice, including the chalk which fell motionlessly to the ground. Everyone stared wide-eyed. Was that ice release? I'm awake. I'm awake. I swear I wasn't really sleeping. I was meditating loudly. He blurted out in reflex, causing Kurenai to facepalm and several people to giggle at his antics. Saratobi sighed as he finished his explanation and Hayate stepped forward and explained the purpose of computers. Oh yeah. We have computers. Wait, what the crap? You know what, never mind, it's way too weird. Naruto thought. Alright, let's get our first match. Hayate called out as the computer went into random mode. Uchiha Sasuke. vs. Misumi Tsurugi. The two contestants nodded while everyone else jumped up and got ready to watch the match. Sasuke smirked as his opponent got into an unusual stance. Begin. Hayate called. Instantly Tsurugi's arm stretched and snaked itself around Sasuke's arm and all the way around his torso as Tsurugi appeared behind him. If upper you won't just lose the match but your life as well. He spat. Sasuke smirked and turned into smoke. Tsurugi's eyes widened. Page Bunshin. But when did he? He felt a sharp pain in his back and whirled around to see Sasuke with a kunai dripping blood. He jumped back to make distance while throwing kunai at Sasuke, who easily dodged and charged at him using chakra to enhance his speed. He gave Tsurugi a sharp punch in the stomach, but Tsurugi just stretched around his fist and kicked him in the head, sending him back a ways. Sasuke slid back and hissed before going through the seals. High release. Great fireball technique. He called out. The fireball filled the stage as Tsurugi screamed in pain. When the dust and smoke settled it revealed a burned and charred Tsurugi. Hayate went to look him over and noticed that he was unconscious. Winner. Uchiha Sasuke. He declared. And the next match will be. Hayate looked at the computer. Mikado Yoroi. vs. Haddock Naruto. Naruto smiled as he dislodged his sword from his belt and gave it to Kiba. Here, I want to try out a new style I developed. Kiba nodded. Naruto jumped down and breathed out. Too bad for you Haddock. To meet me in the prelims. Yoroi said confidently. Right back at ya, I'm afraid I'll have to use you as a test dummy for my new style. Naruto said cheerfully. Begin. Hayate called out. Yoroi took a stance but frowned when he saw Naruto. Naruto took a deep breath and slid into a stance similar to the gentle fist style. Everyone's eyes widened as an ice wind formed around Naruto's hands and he spoke. Ryaitu Hasu. Frozen Lotus. He dashed at Yoroi extremely fast and tapped said person 4 times. 2 on the arms and 2 on the chest before jumping back. Ice lotuses sprouted from the places where he'd been tapped. His eyes widened comically. What the hell is this? Naruto smirked. The Frozen Lotus style. I created it with help from Hinata-chan. Normally I'd rather not tell you what it does, but for being my test dummy you deserve to know. The lotuses that sprouted on you are timers. When the final lotus petal falls, the ice will expand and encase the target in solid ice. His eyes widened comically as did everyone else's. Was that even possible? Oh and one more thing. Time's up. Naruto smirked. The last petal fell as the lotuses expanded and connected with each other before spreading. Yoroi acted quickly and placed his palm on the ice, sucking out the chakra in it. The ice dispersed. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Boy. It seems like you have the ability to drain chakra. Man, guess this style wasn't as awesome against you then. Naruto sighed. Then he blurred out of sight and into sight right in front of Yoroi in a stance that made Niji's eyes widen. It can't be. She thought. Ryaitu Hasu. Rakujkin, SHM. Frozen Lotus. 64 palms. He struck Yoroi at increasingly faster speeds, making his hands look like blurs. 2 palms. 4 palms. 8 palms. 16 palms. 32 palms. Frozen Lotus. 64 palms. He called out as the last one sent Yoroi flying into the wall on the far side of the arena. 64 ice lotuses were now adorning his whole body. This should do it, Naruto said as the lotus petals fell and the ice spread encasing Yoroi completely in ice. Everyone was dead silent. Naruto had completely dominated the match. Naruto stiffened as his eyes widened a fraction when the ice burst, causing a chilly wind to roll in over the spectators. The dust and wind settled revealing a transformed Yoroi. His skin was pitch black and he had sprouted 2 extra arms. He had become much more muscular and he towered over Naruto. His mask had fallen off revealing 2 horns protruding from his forehead. His hair was a shen gray and reached his lower back. It was wild and unkempt. Naruto frowned. This Orochimaru team's curse seal level 2 isn't it? To think you had something like that. Naruto said. He just snarled and pounced on Naruto at high speed. Naruto's eyes widened just a little bit as he started dodging the 4 armed freak's attacks. He's nowhere near as good as Spider-Man back in the forest. Still, if he catches me, he'll probably be able to drain my chakra in a few seconds. He dodged another attack and tapped Yoroi several times before jumping over the behemoth and backflipping, making some distance. His eyes narrowed as the flowers dispersed with no visible effort on Yoroi's part. The freak laughed. "In my cursed seal level 2, I can drain chakra from anywhere on my body, not only from my hands," he roared. Naruto closed his eyes and sighed sadly. "I see. Then I'll have to do this. I'm sorry but I'm not gonna lose here," he said as he slipped into a new stance. Ryaitu Hasu. Ryaitu Ho. Hyourimaru. Frozen Lotus. Frozen Step. Ice Ring. Naruto charged incredible amounts of ice chakra into his hands and then released it. The ice crackled as it formed 2 light blue dragon head ice chakra shrouds with red eyes. 1 on each hand. He charged Yoroi and hit him lightning fast with both shrouds. Yoroi coughed but otherwise seemed unaffected. Naruto jumped back. Naruto looked at him for a second before turning and starting to leave. "Where the hell are you going, huh? This ain't over." The large man roared. "It is. That move I used will take effect now. Hyourimaru is a unique move. It doesn't freeze in the same way as the normal attacks. The Hyourimaru freezes from the inside out. When you're hit, it's over," he said. Yoroi scoffed and was about to attack him when he felt something weird. Seconds later a million ice spikes erupted from within his body, spraying blood everywhere. Everyone was wide-eyed. A one-hit kill move. "At least it seems like my Ice Dragon Slayer style works perfectly on living targets," Naruto thought as he walked to his team. Suddenly Kiba called out. "Taicho? Behind you." Naruto turned to see a fist coming straight for him. Naruto managed to dodge at the last moment as it passed by the side of his face. Standing in front of him was Yoroi. His left shoulder was missing and his body looked most of all like Swiss cheese, but he was still standing. Naruto glared. "So? Unless I kill you, it seems like you'll keep getting back up." Naruto sighed as he jumped backwards to make some distance. It was like time slowed down as everyone's eyes were on his hand which moved to his tilted headband. He slowly moved it to his forehead, revealing his azure green eye. "What is that supposed to do?" Kankuro started but was silenced as Naruto's eye began spinning before settling. Silence reigned as everyone stared at Naruto's fully matured Sharingan. Sasuke smiled. "About time you brought it out, asshole." Naruto spoke. His voice was no longer lazy. It was cold and hard. "Give up now. My Hyourimaru has frozen and destroyed your chakra coils. You won't be able to use chakra any longer. You've lost. Never give up. Never give in. Kill. Kill. Kill." Yoroi screamed as he lunged at Naruto. Naruto sighed as lightning flared to life around his hand. He disappeared and reappeared behind Yoroi. "Chidori, I spared your life. Be grateful." Naruto spoke as lightning coursed through Yoroi's body before he collapsed. "How?" Ibiki asked dumbfounded. The Hokage explained. At the moment of impact he turned down the power of the Chidori. Instead of it being a piercing attack it became a lightning discharge, which he then spread through Yoroi's body to numb his body. "Wow. Winner, Haddock Naruto." Ara smiled slightly psychotically. "Haddock Naruto. As I thought, against you I can truly test my existence." "Ara-chan, be careful." He was holding back even in that fight. "He's strong." Nibi-chan, how strong would you say he is compared to the rest of us?" Yujito asked her resident Biju. "Impossible to say, kitten. He's definitely strong and even now he's holding back. He's someone you do not want to fight in the near future." Everyone else just gulped. Was that level of power he displayed even fair? Kiba tossed him his sword with an awestruck expression. Hinata smiled at him. "It seems like it works perfectly, huh, Naruto Nai-chan?" she asked cheerfully. Yup, once again thanks for the help. He answered as Kurenai frowned. Did you kill him? She asked solemnly. No, but he won't ever be a ninja again. I struck him in a very special way with the Hyorin Meru. I froze his chakra coils and then made them explode. It doesn't kill, but it does huge damage and takes away the opponent's ability to use chakra ever again. He explained. His team, minus Hinata, looked at him shocked. Whoa. I'm glad we're on the same side as Taicho. Kiba said. Shino nodded. The next battle is ready. Kurenai informed them. Tenten vs. Kuretsuchi. The two contestants jumped down and readied themselves. Naruto was interested in seeing how the Iwa girl fought. He sweat dropped 2 seconds later when he heard Lee and Guy. Yosh. Guo Tenten. Show her your manly flames of youth. I mean. Womanly flames of youth. Lee screamed as he and Guy hugged. Lee. Cheering for your teammate like that. How youthful. If I cannot cheer as youthful as you I shall hop around Konoha 5 times on my tongue. Youth. Guy-sensei. Lee. Guy-sensei. Lee. Naruto raised his hands as Shino, Hinata and Kiba restrained him. Take it easy Taicho. Come on, let go of me. I'll just freeze them a bit. No harm done. Let go of me. Everyone else sweat dropped as they turned back to the fight. Begin. Tenten jumped into action as she grabbed 2 scrolls hanging by her waist and used them to summon forth a shitload of. As one they launched towards Kuretsuchi who looked surprised before she quickly flashed through hand seals. Earth release. Earth-style wall technique. She called out. The floor of the arena shifted and groaned as it was raised in order to protect Kuretsuchi from harm. Sednin was already flashing through her next set of hand seals. Earth release. Fall of grace technique. She roared. The ground erupted into earth spikes around Tenten's feet, but she showed her grace as she dodged and weaved around the spikes. She looked up and her eyes widened when she saw Kuretsuchi flash through more signs. Quickly Tenten fired off several kunai which headed straight for her. Realizing that she wouldn't make it, Kuretsuchi jumped out of the way, abandoning her. Instantly Tenten was upon her, unsealing a beautiful wakizashi which Kuretsuchi just barely managed to block with her own kunai. They pushed against each other and were locked in a stalemate when Kuretsuchi suddenly pushed back Tenten with surprising strength. Tenten's eyes widened as the earth began to move around Kuretsuchi who smiled. Now. The requirements have been met, this battle is over little girls. She taunted. Suddenly the earth around her started cracking and forming into little pieces of rock which settled upon her arms. More and more built up until her arms all the way up to the shoulders were covered in a thick layer of rock. Secret Tsuchikage technique. Earth's rage. She called out her technique. This technique has been passed down in the Tsuchikage line from the first my grandfather, the current Tsuchikage, taught it to me. And with this, the battle is over. Kuretsuchi explained. Then she dashed into action. Jumping high into the air she collided with the ground where Tenten had been seconds before. She first created an enormous crater. She smirked before blurring out of sight and reappeared with her fist in Tenten's gut. Said girl was blasted into the statue in the far end of the ring. She was unconscious before she hit the ground. Kuretsuchi let the earth around her arms fall down and crumble to dust. Winner, Kuretsuchi. Hey declared. Kuretsuchi smirked at Naruto, keeping his gaze as she walked out of the ring. Naruto glanced towards Lee and Guy who had become deadly silent. Both of them seemed sad about the Tenten's loss. Niji seemed like she didn't really care either way, however if you looked closely you could see her gripping her clothes rather tightly. The next match will be. Hey began as the computer started again. And thus the prelims of the Chunin exam went on. Yup, just like that. I'm too lazy to write all the prelims, so I'll just show who passed and who they'll be fighting against. Sometime later. Of Doom. Sarutobi sighed as the final match ended. He smirked lightly. Such talent, even though they are so young. Man these kids aren't half bad. And with that, the prelims of the Chunin exams are hereby over. The finale will take place a month from now, so use that time well to prepare against your opponents. Hayate explained. And here are the matchups for the finale. First match. Haddock Naruto vs. Inuzuka Kiba. Second match. Naiyujito vs. Tamari. Third match. Kuretsuchi vs. Kankuro. Fourth match. Samui vs Ikushi Kabuto. Fifth match. Karui vs. Akatsuchi. Sixth match. Uchiha Sasuke vs. Amoy. Seventh match. Rock Lee vs. Narashikamaru. Eighth match. Hyuga Niji vs. Hyuga Hinata. Ninth match. Aburam Shino vs. Gaara. 10th match. Sai vs. Kuroko Akasum. 11th match. Kirika Yusaka vs. Ariki Senbuka. 12th match. Karaki Roki vs. Nesui Iruka. What? No way. I'm fighting Taicho. Bummer. Kiba sighed sadly. Many of the other contestants were kindled down about their opponents. Don't worry about it, Kiba-kun. You know my skills and now you have a whole month to train and improve. I want to fight you. So train hard, alright. Naruto said as he smiled at Kiba. Hey, alright. Just you wait, I'm gonna knock you down. He cheered. Shino-kun, be careful. Your opponent means business. Serious business, alright. Naruto said to the stoic Aburam, who nodded back. I know, Taicho. My bugs are going crazy in fear. I'll have to use my next month of training well. Naruto nodded. Now you are all dismissed. See you in a month. Original techniques. Earth release. Fall of grace technique. A basic earth technique which makes spikes appear from the ground. It's slow and easily avoidable, so it's mostly used as a distraction. Lightning Dragon's Heavenly Claw. A powerful lightning-infused kick which sends opponents flying. Lightning Dragon Subjugation. One forces electricity into another person's body. It stuns the nerves, making the body unresponsive. A capture technique. Ice Release. Icy Floor technique. Freezes the moisture in the earth to quickly make a slippery floor of ice. The user is not affected by this. The more skilled the user, the faster the ground freezes. When used on water, it doubles as a capture technique. Ice Release. Ice Dragon Bullet technique. A powerful ice attack. Creates a dragon of ice which attacks the target. The dragon can be controlled. When it hits, ice spikes will erupt and pierce anything around the impact area. Water Release. Great Whirlpool Pillar technique. A powerful water attack. Creates a large pillar of water which moves in circles like a whirlpool. The speed of the water is so fast that anything that tries to escape will be blown back and cut. Ice Release. Frozen World Pillar technique. A powerful ice attack. Used in conjunction with the Great Whirlpool Pillar technique to freeze the water and everything inside it. The ice and everything inside it is then crushed into a million pieces. Ice Release. Hailstorm technique. A powerful ice attack. Creates several ice spikes from the moisture in the air and then flies towards a target with great speed. Wherever they touch the ground, ice spikes erupt and pierces everything in the impact zone. It should be noted that even if there existed other ice users, Naruto would be the only one capable of using this technique since no one else can pull water from the atmosphere. Wind Release. Great Whirlwind Pillar technique. A powerful wind attack. The wind version of the Great Whirlpool Pillar technique. Makes a huge whirlwind of shredding wind which rips everything to pieces. With enough chakra and control, it can even be moved around the battlefield. It is a more offensive-based version of the pillar technique, whereas the water version is for capturing. Curse Removal. Transference of Soul. A high-level sealing technique. Created by Naruto and Jiraiya, it transfers the negative aspects of a seal from the seal to the user. Naruto can then use the Kyuubi's chakra to purge his chakra coils and remove the negative aspects. Frozen Lotus. 64 Palms. A move created by Naruto. It is based on the Gentle Fist version and is pretty much the same, though the effect of the two varies. Basically, an attack that creates 64 ice lotuses to make the target freeze solid even faster. Frozen Lotus. Frozen Step. Ice Ring. A move created by Naruto. One of the Frozen Step techniques, a series of extremely powerful moves. Creates 2 ice dragon shrouds on the user's hands which is then slammed into the opponent where it freezes them from the inside out. It has 2 versions, one where it kills the opponent by freezing everything within them, and a version where it freezes and destroys a person's chakra coil, rendering them unable to ever use chakra again. Secret Tsuchikage technique. Earth's Rage. A powerful earth armor. A secret technique passed down in the Tsuchikage line, it allows a person to mold rock and earth on one's arms to create high-powered arms of rock. They are coated in a dense layer of chakra, which means that they don't weigh down the body, and only an extremely powerful lightning technique can destroy them. Increases one's physical strength by an unfair amount. Chapter 6. Training Everywhere. Chunin exams start. 1 month, huh? Naruto thought as he walked to his house, having just said goodbye to his teammates. A lot of things can happen in a month, so I'll have to train seriously as well. He contemplated. He opened the door to his house and was instantly met with the smell of death. He rushed to the kitchen where the smell originated and slammed open the door, revealing his worst fear. Heiya was cooking. The foul-mouthed Kunoichi was in the midst of cooking something that might at some point in a previous life have been edible but was now a highly deadly toxin. He shivered as he saw smoke erupting from the pot, forming a skull and then evaporating. Heiya noticed him and turned towards him, smiling lightly. "You're back, asshole. I've just finished cooking," she said happily as she got out some plates. The distant buried perverted part of Naruto's mind noticed that she looked quite why in an apron. He quickly squashed the thought. It seems the Sharingan isn't the only thing I've inherited from Kakashi. Boy retard. If you have the time to stare, go set the table. Heiya interrupted his thoughts. Alright. He waved disarmingly as he took the plates along with other dining necessities and made them ready for dinner. Heiya happily placed the pot on the table, the foul substance oozing. She gave Naruto some and then put some on her own plate before remembering the salt. Just a sec. she said as she went into the kitchen to find the salt. Naruto looked at the food on his plate and started sweating when it did something that looked very much like blinking. Did the stew just blink at me? He thought with a slightly disturbed feeling in his stomach. Making sure Taiya wasn't looking, he quickly threw the stew into a nearby plant's pot and then watched with detached fascination as the plant withered and died. Is that supposed to happen? Yo kid. Don't even think about eating that stuff, even my chakra won't be able to save you. Kyuubi warned him. Thanks for the heads up, Kyuubi-sama. He thought appreciatively, having figured as much himself. One more thing, kid. From tomorrow on, and for the next few weeks, you and I are gonna be training inside the seal here. The Nibi and the Chibi are probably gonna do the same with their containers, and there's still too many unknown factors from the other shinobi to take any chances. Cool, training with the Kyuubi, this ought to be good. Naruto noticed Taiya finally found the salt and was now back. Wow, you already finished. You must really like my stew, huh? She smiled proudly. Yeah. Sure. Listen, why don't I cook from now on? Then you can do it. Other things around the house. Sure, whatever floats your boat, Dumbus. Phew. That was one disaster in the making. Nicely done, kid, you just saved our asses. Naruto smiled as he and Taiya talked the rest of the night away before going to bed. The next day. Of doom. Naruto opened his eyes as he stood before Kyuubi. They were in his mindscape, which he had remodeled for their training. It now looked like a mountainous area. Kyuubi had changed his form to that of Naruto in six-tailed mode. A black collar with the kanji for seal on it hangs around his neck. Alright kid, I hope you're ready for this. I am, but why am I wearing this seal over my eye? He asked, confused. The Kyuubi smirked in a very demonic manner as clones sprouted from the Kyuubi and flanked him. The two clones were of Naruto in four-tailed mode. That's an easy question. You rely too much on the Sharingan whenever it gets tough. This can prove to be your downfall, that's why you'll be fighting 3 superior opponents without the ability to use your Sharingan. I see. In these coming weeks we'll work on your speed and your Taijutsu. We will also be expanding on your Jinjutsu, so get ready brat, because for the next couple of weeks, you're officially my bitch. Kyuubi smirked evilly. Is it too late to regret? Naruto asked, fearing for his life. Yep. And then the Kyuubi charged. At the Inyazuka compound. Of doom. Alright Kiba, for the next couple of weeks we're gonna work primarily on your skills alone. Tsume instructed her son. Eh? But Akamaru and I always fight together. Why work only on my skills? Kiba asked, confused. This went against everything he'd been taught as an Inyazuka. Tsume nodded. Indeed, and Naruto knows this. He'll take out Akamaru as the first thing he does, and then he'll come for you. Kiba's eyes widened. So, I'm gonna level up your solo fighting skills. Yeah, but mom, even with it I won't be able to defeat Taicho, he's freaking strong. Kiba exclaimed. Tsume smirked devilishly. Of course, I know that. That's why I'll be teaching you an ancient Inyazuka technique. Using this technique, our ancestor, the founder of the Inyazuka clan, was able to fight on par with the first Hokage for hours. What? Then why didn't he become Hokage instead? I said fight Kiba, not win. Hashirama-sama was simply too strong, and eventually he would outlast our ancestor every time they fought. I see. But anyway, you're gonna teach me that technique. Yeah, but only if you get your fighting skills to a level I deem acceptable. Meanwhile, Kuromaru will be teaching Akamaru. Well then, let's get to it. Kiba said with fire burning in his eyes. Tsume smirked. Bring Akaki. At the Aburam compound. Of doom. Shino stood across from his father Aburam Shibi. The man was even more stoic and mysterious than his son. There was no doubt, however, that he was a great shinobi. Son. What would you do if you had the key to the ultimate Aburam power, a power dating back to before the Aburam became part of Konoha? What if I told you that the Aburam clan was founded to protect this very power from falling into the wrong hands? I would use it to protect my friends, family and village. Shino said instantly. Shibi raised his eyebrow in a rare display of emotion. That is a highly illogical answer, my son. Shino's eyes widened in realization of what he'd said. No, I didn't say it was a bad thing, my son. Came the unintelligent reply from Shino. In a surprising display of feeling, Shibi smiled. Before, you would undoubtedly have answered, I would use it for whatever that is logical. Now however, you said you wanted to protect, without even thinking about it. I am proud. Shino bowed, secretly happy to be praised by his father. Very well, follow me. Shibi said as he turned and headed towards the deepest part of the Aburam compound. Where are we going, father? Shino asked curiously. We are going to upgrade your hive. At the Hyuga compound. Of doom. Hinata squirmed under her father's gaze. After joining Team 8 she had been improving rapidly, which in turn meant that her father looked at her with much less spite. Hinata. He spoke, making her jerk. Hi? She asked. I will be training you for the Chunin exams. Is this acceptable? He asked. Hinata smiled. Hi. That would make me a very happy father. The light smirk grazed Hiashi's face. Very good. Father. What about Niji Nisan? I believe she will be training with that weird teammate and sensei of hers. Hinata nodded. Well then, get ready, I will be teaching you powerfully. Hi. Definitely. I'm definitely going to show Niji Nisan that I'm not weak. I'm going to show everyone I'm not weak. At training ground 45. Of Doom. Kuretsuchi stood across from Akatsuchi, both panting heavily. They glared at each other before re-entering combat. I'll crush all the Leaf Ninja in this damn village. And that headband kid. I'll crush that strength of his and show him just how much he should fear Aiwa. Kuretsuchi thought as she dodged yet another attack. Old man Tsuchikage said that we had to defeat as many enemies as possible, even if we don't get promoted. He just wants us to showcase that Aiwa have more than rebounded after the last Great War. Akatsuchi mused. You seem much more spirited than normally, Kuretsuchi. The large man noted. Of course I am. That kid with the Sharingan and the headband keeps reminding me of the stories Grandpa used to tell me about that accursed yellow flash. Akatsuchi smiled teasingly. Is that really the only reason? Kuretsuchi almost slipped as she blushed. Well, what's that supposed to mean? Admit it, you think he's interesting. Akatsuchi paled as he noticed a look on her face, she was blushing heavily. Akatsuchi. I'm going to kill you. Dayyyy. Aya. Have mercy. He screamed as she started flinging lava release techniques everywhere. In the forest of death. Of doom. Lee looked up as he heard Akatsuchi's screams of terror. Gosh. Such a youthful scream. If I cannot match that scream while kicking a rock 5,000 times, I shall jump around Konoha on my tongue 5 times, and if I cannot do that I shall dance uncontrollably for 5 hours. Lee. Your youthfulness is so blinding. I shall dance with you. Dai-sensei. Lee. Dai-sensei. Lee. Niji palmed her face as she watched the two morons hug each other. I wish Naruto was here with his ice release right now. She thought. Her thoughts drifted to her cousin's enigmatic teammate. To think he managed to create such a powerful style based on the gentle fist, using only what he's seen from Hinata-sama. She had found her thoughts drifting towards the mysterious boy more and more often. She shook her head and focused on her training. He is unimportant. Even he will fall before fate. Even if he is cute. Gosh. Here I come, Niji-san. Lee announced as he charged his genius teammate. She cleared her mind as she moved to attack him. Suddenly, 4 oversized tigers leapt towards them, appearing seemingly out of nowhere. Guy smiled before jumping and sticking to a tree using chakra. Lee, Niji, my youthful students. This will be a good way to start your training. Fight these beasts. Niji and Lee looked at each other before charging the 4 oversized house cats. At training ground 12. Of doom. Harry dodged and parried again and again as Yujito's blows kept coming faster and faster. Channeling lightning chakra into her blade, Carrie managed to push Yujito off of her and make some distance. Damn, you're intense today, Yujito-chan. She said between pants. Yujito nodded. Remember the one-eyed guy from the exam? The sugar addict? Carrie replied. Yujito sweat dropped. Yeah, him. Sure I do, what about him? Carrie asked. Samui and Amoy stopped their training to listen in. He's the same as me and B-sensei. You don't mean? Yeah, he's a Jinchuriki. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Carrie's eyes widened as did Samui and Amoy. No way, you sure? Yeah, Nibi-chan confirmed it. So is the redeed from Suna. Damn. I have good news by the way. Samui said. They looked at their cold teammate. Reikage-sama and B-sensei are coming to Konoha soon, they'll be able to help us train. Carrie, Amoy and Yujito smiled surprised. Alright, let's get back to training then. Yujito and Samui spared this time. 2 other Jinchuriki like me. And one of them is a cute guy. I did not just think that. Yes you did. Another voice inside her head whispered. Silence brain. Yujito roared in her head. Anibi sweat dropped. Wow. And people think Shikaku is crazy. Anyway kitten, I'll be training you inside the seal for the coming weeks, okay? Sure, thanks Nibi-chan. Samui eyed her opponent warily. I'll have to do this carefully, Yujito is faster than me. Though not as fast as that Sharingan Cyclops was. He was actually kinda cool. Samui blinked, surprised at her own thoughts before refocusing on the task at hand, beating Yujito. At training ground 7. Of doom. Sasuke backflipped as a large arm of wood crashed down where he stood seconds before. He quickly withdrew his trench knives and channeled fire chakra through them, the blades becoming bathed in scalding hot fire. Several smaller arms emerged from the large wooden fist and made their way towards Sasuke. It didn't even bat an eyelash. He was used to seeing stuff like this. Secret Uchiha technique. Fury. Sasuke called out as he slashed with his trench knives, 2 large crescent moons of fire, emerging and cutting straight through the wooden hands. Yamato looked at him approvingly. Very good, Sasuke. Sasuke smirked. Of course. You seem quite enthusiastic. I have to get stronger. I made a promise with Naruto, and I sure as hell am gonna keep it. Yamato smiled. Well then, let's continue. Would release. Uchiha Punage technique. Sasuke blinked. Was all he managed before 60 hands of wood sprouted from beneath his feet and attacked him. All of them had senju that was better than Uchiha etched onto them. Arg. He screamed. At the underground root base. Of doom. Sigh. Danzo spoke as he looked at the pale youth before him. Hi, Danzo-sama. You must train hard for the upcoming Chunin exams. Each and every one of the other village's best genin are there, so you must kill them before they can grow and bolster their village's forces. Danzo-sama, wouldn't it be easier to just kill them now? Before they have the chance to utilize this 1 month of training. It would, unfortunately, bring the village in danger of retaliation from the other great villages. We can, however, use the Chunin exams as an excuse to kill them legally. I see, then I shall start my training immediately. Good, you are dismissed. Sarutobi. Even if you disagree with my viewpoints, I shall keep protecting Konoha in the manner I find best. A rude agent appeared behind Danzo and leaned in to give his message. Danzo-sama, rumors have been flying around that the Hokage will give up his position after the Chunin exams have ended. Danzo nodded as the root disappeared. Excellent, excellent. He laughed madly. At the Nara compound. Of doom. Shikamaru, stay observant. Remember the hand seals alright. Shikaku said as he looked at his son. It's troublesome. Shikamaru answered as he mimicked the hand seals he was shown. Secret Nara shadow art. Death of Thousands technique. Shikamaru said as his shadow connected to the training dummies. It then became a large blob of shadows which surrounded the whole dummy. Long spears of shadow emerged from every angle and pierced the dummy, leaving 1,000 holes in it. Shikamaru fell to one knee, panting. That drained a lot of chakra. He groaned. I know, it's one of our most powerful techniques and one of our most chakra consuming. Shikaku answered, giving Shikamaru a calculating gaze. He learned it after seeing the seals only a few times. It seems he isn't only a genius in brains, but in Nara techniques as well. Nara Yoshino chose this moment to burst through the door out into the training ground and glare furiously at Shikaku. What have I told you about mixing your white laundry with your green laundry, Shikaku? She screamed at him while beating him with a shirt which had at one point probably been pure white, but was now an ugly mixture of green and white. Ouch ouch. Stop hitting me, you troublesome woman. He whined. What did you call me? She screamed. Shikaku shrunk. My sweet beautiful pleasant wife. That's what I thought. She huffed before stomping back to the house. Shikamaru coughed into his hand. Cough cough whipped. Cough cough. Shikaku glared at him. Brat, just for that you get to practice that technique until you faint. Troublesome. An unknown location. Of doom. Ah, Kabuto, how strange to see you training. Orochimaru said as he found his right-hand man training in the woods. Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto acknowledged his master with a nod before going back to training. May I ask what brought upon this sudden training? Orochimaru's voice washed over Kabuto. Well, I may end up fighting people like Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun or Gaara-san before the plan starts, and if I do not get some practice in, they might just beat me. Orochimaru nodded. By the way, Orochimaru-sama, I heard that the other 3 cages will be here at the final exam. Does that not put a hinge in the plan? Indeed, it seems I will not be able to kill my old teacher. But that doesn't mean I won't be able to damage Konoha. After all, I'm going to use them. Kabuto stiffened, his eyes going wide as he looked at Orochimaru. Orochimaru-sama. Surely you don't mean. Oh, but I do dear Kabuto, I do. Konoha will fall, one way or the other. With that, the snake slithered away, leaving Kabuto alone. Heh. Orochimaru-sama, it seems I have underestimated you. To think you would go that far. At training ground 16. Of doom. Tenkuro's puppets danced back and forth as the puppeteer's fingers blurred. They evaded wind attack after wind attack, slowly making their way towards Temari who was getting annoyed. She opened her fan fully and then started spinning around uncontrollably, stirring up a tornado which she sent hurtling towards Kankuro. Wind release. Dust storm tornado technique. She called out. Kankuro acted quickly. Sunagakur's secret unison art. Ultimate shield technique. The 3 puppets smashed into each other, Charka linking them to each other. Then, one moved upwards while the other 2 went left and right. Like a net, the chakra was spread out, creating a triangle barrier of pure chakra. The 2 clashed with each other, fighting for dominance, before they cancelled each other out. Both took some time to catch their breath before once again attacking each other. Ara was sitting on a stone some 20 meters away from them. Her eyes were closed as she trained with her Biju. Needless to say, it was quite the brutal training regiment, given the fact that cuts and other wounds would occasionally appear on her body. Her shield of sand was levitating protectively around her, warding off any stray or pebble that might be blown her way. Indeed, all around Konoha the young genin were training, all of them with eyes on the title of Chunin. 1 week later. Of Doom. Naruto yawned as he exited the shinobi store. He glanced back at it and couldn't help but smile. The store's name was darker than black. They specialized in shinobi clothes and armor. They were famous for their special clothes which were made with exclusive material, which made it absorb the shadows around the person wearing it, making them much harder to spot. Naruto had just placed down his special custom order for his Chunin exam outfit and was now heading towards the best weaponsmith in the village. The doorbell chimed as Naruto opened the door and stepped in. He could hear the telltale sounds of work out back. Before long, a giant of a man, easily 2 times Naruto's size with a large black beard and arms as thick as logs entered from the workshop area. He looked around before his eyes fell on Naruto, then he smiled. "Naruto boy. What a pleasure to see you again. What can I do for you?" The large man exclaimed, his voice deep and booming, not unlike the Kyuubi's. "Hey there, Mifune-san. I came to ask if you still have the metal you used to forge my mother's blade with." "Of course I have it, just wait a second," he said as he started looking around. Mifune was an old friend of Naruto's parents. He was a genius weaponsmith and using the unique metals Kushina had brought with her, he had forged the Chikudo that she and now Naruto used. "Aha. Here it is. I knew I had it somewhere," he exclaimed as he placed some metal on the counter. It was the same kind of beautiful and deadly metal Naruto's sword was made of. "What did you need it for, boy?" Mifune asked, curious. Naruto took his Chikudo and placed it on the counter. "Mifune-san. I want you to reforge Tensa Zangetsu into a katana," Naruto said seriously. Mifune looked at the blade before smiling. So the day had finally come, huh? Your mother, before she died, said that you would probably want to have it remade someday. You see, the truth is that that weapon has been passed down through your family for generations, with a changing form each generation. One generation it was a scythe, once it was a pair of trench knives and so on and so forth. Anyway, every person who has inherited the weapon has had it remade to fit them. At least, that's what your mom told me. I see. So, I shall put all my being into remaking it into the greatest goddamn katana the world has ever seen. Does it have a name? Yeah. Masamune. Heh. That's a good name, it carries strength. Come back in 2 weeks or so, and I'll have it finished, just in time for the final Chunin exam. Thanks Mifune-san. Well, I've gotta go train, see ya. See ya, brat." Naruto ran out of the shop and down the road, leaving sight quickly. Mifune smiled after him. "Kushina. Minato. If only you could see your son right now. He's become such a fine shinobi." Naruto was heading towards his usual training ground. "Boy kid, I'm a fucking genius." How so, Kyuubi-sama? "I found a way to combine all of your different taijutsu capabilities and your kenjutsu style into one ultimate style." "Really? That's amazing. How does it work?" "Alright, imagine a glass filled to the brim with water. You're the glass and your chakra is the water. Every time you drink from the glass, there becomes less water. It's the same here, every time you use you lose chakra. Now, what happens if you hit the side of the glass with your finger? Or do you lightly shake the glass? It creates ripples." "Exactly, well basically, you resonate with your chakra or hit the glass with your finger and then you transfer that chakra into your opponent via contact. At the moment of impact, the chakra explodes inside your enemy. Based on which element you use, the effect will vary. This can be done with one hand, meaning you can use your sword with the other." "That's absolutely brilliant." "Exactly, I started working on it way back when you first gained that Dragon Slayer power. I could finally complete it when you made that Ice Dragon Slayer style thing. I've tried it out and this is pretty much what happens based on which element you use. Lightning. Heavy internal and external damage and numbing. Wind. Cut straight through. Ice. Freezes the water in the target area of the body, disabling and dealing permanent internal and external damage. I'm still working on what water may do." "How did you come up with such a style?" "Well, you see, I took that strong style that you learned from that spandex wearing freak. It focuses on speed, acrobatics and crushing blows. Then I combined it with your Dragon Slayer power, which is to use the elements on one's body parts. I fused them and created this." "You really are a fucking genius, Kyuubi-sama." "That's what I said. Now get your ass back to work, we have lots of things to do." "Do you have a name for this fighting style yet?" "Nope, I'm still thinking. It has to be something cool and awesome." Soul Menace. Brilliant. Soul Menace. That sounds freaking malicious. Sold. Now get to training." "Yes sir." Naruto mockingly saluted in his mind. 2 weeks later. Of Doom. Naruto panted as he dashed towards the boulder with amazing speed. Just before he reached it, his palms started crackling with chakra. "Soul Menace," he said as he smashed his palm onto the rock. Smoke exploded around him. When it settled it revealed a large circular hole going straight through the rock. Naruto smirked. Seems like I've got it down perfectly now. It's time to go pick up Masamune. Right. With that, he disappeared. He reappeared at the weapons shop and went inside. Mifune looked up when he saw Naruto entering, the largest of smiles spreading across his face. Naruto boy. Here to pick up Masamune. I finished it yesterday. It's a freaking masterpiece. He smiled proudly as he took something from under the desk. It was wrapped in a grey cloth which he removed. It was a daido, the long blade was a deadly silver color. The guard was oval in shape with 2 half circles, one on each end of the guard. It was bronze in color with several designs etched into it. The hilt was wrapped in pure white bandages, with a little bit of the black hilt showing underneath them. Next to it lay a simple dark blue sheath with bandages wrapped around it all the way up, with some of the bandages ending in loose ends, showing that they could be wrapped around the guard and handle when the sword was sheathed. Beautiful. Naruto breathed out. Glad you like it. Now off you go, brat. How much? You don't need to pay me, forging this was the greatest pleasure in my life as a blacksmith. Thanks Mifune-san. See you later. Yeah, be careful brat. Naruto strapped the sword to his back as he headed to the Hokage's office. On the way there he saw an absolutely gorgeous woman looking like a deer caught in a car's headlights. She had long auburn hair pulled up in a bun on the top of her head, yet it still reached all the way to her ankles. She was wearing a blue dress with a very low cut, showing an amazing amount of cleavage. She had a killer body, and many of the men walking past her drooled at the sight of her, while their wives and girlfriends glared bloody murder. Naruto said tentatively, coming up behind her. She was just a few inches taller than him. Hi. She smiled at him. This guy is. You look a little lost, are you looking for somewhere in particular? Naruto asked her about it. Yeah, I'm looking for the cage tower, but I simply can't find it. I'm heading there now, so if you want to, can I show you the way? That'd be most delightful. She beamed at him. I'm Naruto by the way. Mei. Naruto and Mei talked a little about themselves, enjoying each other's company as Naruto led her to the cage tower. Well, here we are. Mei looked up at the massive building and couldn't help but sweat. How in the world could I miss this? They headed inside to find 2 men looking extremely panicky and nervous. They almost charged as they saw Mei. Mizuki-sama. We were so worried. Please don't run off on your own like that. The older of the 2 men lectured. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Mizuki-ja. Who would have thought Mei was a cage? Wait. Isn't that unfair? They have a smoking hot female cage. We have an old chain smoking pervert. Who summons monkeys. Monkeys. How lame is that? Naruto blinked and shook his head before his mental rant got out of control. The office doors opened and Sarutobi came out, smoking his pipe as always. Mizuki Dono, what an honor. Oh. Naruto-kun. What are you doing here? He asked surprised. I came to pick up the last of my scrolls. Naruto answered with a smile at seeing his grandfather in everything but blood. Yes, the time has finally come has it not? Sarutobi withdrew a scroll from his robe and threw it to Naruto who deftly grabbed it. Well then, I'll be on my way. It was an honor meeting you Mizuki-sama. Naruto said as he bowed. Not at all, not at all. But I never really got your full name? She asked innocently. Of course she knew who he was, after all she had seen his fight against Zabuza, but she had to keep up appearances. Paddock Naruto, Mizuki-sama. I see, it was nice meeting you. Irisis. He smiled at her, one of those crooked smiles that showed his right incisor, the same smile that could make any woman's heart melt. Likewise. And then he disappeared. There was no sound, no wind, no nothing. It was like he hadn't been there at all. Mei said, a bright blush still evident on her face. Oh ho. It seems Naruto-kun has increased his speed yet again. That kid will be faster than Guy soon. At Naruto's house. Of doom. Naruto stretched out a few kinks in his back as he entered his house. He would always remember this day as Taiya came walking out of the bathroom, wrapped only in a towel. She stopped, stiffened and then looked at herself. Then at Naruto. Then at herself. Then she blushed. Then screamed. Then proceeded to throw dangerous and sharp objects at him while screaming pervert over and over again. Whoa. Dad ass. The perverted part of Naruto's mind said. No. Bad brain. Down boy. Come on. Look at it. I mean holy hell. Come on. You know you want to. God damn it brain. If you don't shut up right now, I'm going to kill me. And then you die too. You wouldn't have the balls to do it. Try me. Tch. Alright, I'll retreat for now. But I will be back. Every time something perverted happens, I shall return. In Jiraiya-sama's eternal words. As long as there is hero in the world, I shall prevail. To Naruto's credit, he managed to have this conversation while still dodging objects in real life. Eventually, Naruto had to flee into the training ground behind his house. Geez, that woman is going to kill me one day. That ass. A faint voice called out. God damn it. Naruto looked at the scroll in his hands, the last of a 7-scroll series from his mother and father, detailing their most powerful techniques. Each time he had mastered the contents of one, the seal on the next would be unlocked. He unrolled the scroll and read about its contents. Duration no Jutsu. Uzumaki Final Kinjutsu Kata, Jutsuga Tensho. He sank deeply. Well, best get to work. That A. No. Day of the Chunin exams. Of doom. To say that the crowd was huge would be an understatement. A ridiculous amount of people had shown up to see this event that would probably go down in history. The spectators were talking with each other animatedly. Did you hear? Because all of the 5 cages are here, they want to make this an extra special exam. Therefore, those who do insanely well will be able to get a promotion straight to Takebetsu Jounin or even Jounin. No way, really. Yeah, this is gonna be awesome. The 5 cages sat in the remodeled booth. The new booth was placed such that it was also the area where clan heads and senseis were sitting, and it was where the participants waited for their matches. This new arrangement was made so that one was able to talk with both Kage and Sensei after one's fight. Sarutobi frowned. Naruto-kun isn't here. The other 4 cages were talking with each other, making bets and such. Ha! As expected of Kumo, we have the second most contestants who passed. The Raikage boasted as the Tsuchikage mumbled something like Brad under his breath. Hiba, Shino, Hinata, Sasuke, Sai, Gaara, Kankuro, Tamari, Lee, Niji, Samui, Yujito, Kari, Amoy, Kuritsuchi, Akatsuchi, Shikamaru, Kabuto and the rest were standing side by side in the large arena. There was talking all around, it quickly quieted down however, as the proctor walked into the arena. Shiranui Genma looked at the young participants and frowned. Aren't we missing someone? At that moment, leaves started whirling around in the far end of the arena. When they settled, they revealed a changed Naruto. He was wearing a black sleeveless shirt with a white zipper and black Anbu pants, along with black steel-toed boots. Over that, he was wearing a long red trench coat, also sleeveless. Around his waist were 2 short black belts. Below his waist, the trench coat was closed with 3 black straps and with 2 above his waist. Some of the chest area was open revealing his black shirt. He was wearing fingerless gloves with metal plates on them. His hair had changed exponentially too. He had cut it for one. It was now shoulder length, with most of it tied up in the back. His hair had also changed color again. It was now golden blonde, with strands of orange. Masamune was hanging on his back, and his slanted forehead protector was covering his eye. He lifted a hand in apology. Sorry everyone, but on my way here I was attacked by this extremely dangerous S-class cat, and I had to fight it off using only a toothpick because I didn't want to dirty my outfit. Silence befell the stadium as everyone just stared at him. Kurenai and Sasuke both face palms while Anko cheered. Anyway, with this all of you are here. Now to explain the rules. So as you can see, even if you don't win, you might become Chunin. As you've probably heard, there is also the possibility of becoming Takebetsu or Jounin. Any questions? No one said anything. Well then, will Inyazuka Kiba and Haddock Naruto please stay here while the rest of you head to the spectator booth? They nodded and cleared out. Naruto sealed away Masamune as Kiba slipped into a stance. Haicho, let's give it our all. Yeah, Kiba, I'm not going to hold back anything, so you better be ready. Kiba smirked and nodded. Well then, with this, let the first round of the Chunin exam finals begin. Chapter 7. The battle begins. Naruto vs Kiba. Well then, with this, let the first round of the Chunin exam finals begin. Kiba charged at Naruto, engaging in Taijutsu. Naruto easily dodged all of Kiba's blows before landing a heavy blow on Kiba's gut. Kiba coughed and slid back a little, a smile on his face. Naruto blinked until suddenly Akamaru rushed at him from behind with Atsuga. Naruto swiftly dodged as he frowned. I couldn't feel Akamaru's presence at all. What kind of training did he go through? The two ganged up on him, Kiba unleashing a flurry of punches, while Akamaru repeatedly tried to scratch him. Left, right, low kick, going for my eyes, punch, kick, bite. Sorry. But even without my Sharingan, I can easily see your moves. Naruto slid into Kiba's guard, giving him a devastating elbow to the gut. He coughed before going up in smoke. Kage Bunshin. But when did he? Naruto's eyes widened as several smoke clouds exploded around him, revealing several Kiba and Akamaru. As one they charged him with a cry of Gatsuga. Naruto closed his eyes before smiling lightly. So you've already grown this much, huh? As the first 2 clones were upon him he grabbed their arms mid-spin and threw them into 2 other clones. An Akamaru came from behind him, but before the poor clone could blink, it had been completely destroyed. Naruto jumped high into the air before creating 2 Kage Bunshin. One of the Kage Bunshin dropped down onto the ground. They all went through seals. High release. Great fireball technique. Wind release. Great breakthrough technique. Earth release. Binding shackles technique. The earth release technique bound all the clones to the ground, making them unable to move as the wind-enhanced fireball crashed down onto the stage, exploding in a wild firestorm. Page Booth. Ho ho. That kid ain't half bad, Sarutobi. A boomed. HMPH, using earth release as a means to bind an enemy. He has no idea of how to truly use earth release. Enoki, the Tsuchikage, mumbled. But, aren't 3 nature types for a genin a little overkill? Sakura asked, confused. Taicho is a genin in rank only, his skill is quite a lot higher than that. Shino drawled. I see. Arena. Naruto looked around confused. I can't feel his presence. What in the world? The ground behind him exploded as Kiba came jumping out, his hands going through seals. Take this. Fire release. Great pressure blast wave technique. Kiba exclaimed as he spit out a powerful stream of fire. Naruto dodged and watched with slight fascination as the technique tore through the ground. He's got a pretty powerful fire affinity there. Kiba looked annoyed as he went through more seals. Fire release. Hell scorch technique. An enormous torrent of fire exploded from Kiba's mouth and out towards Naruto. He can do this, plus he can create several Kage Bunshin. What kind of chakra enhancing training did he do to get to this level? Water release. Water dragon bullet technique. He conjured a large water dragon from thin air, which then collided with the fire torrent. At first they were equal, but because of the lack of moisture in the air, the water dragon was slowly losing. Naruto sighed annoyed and did more seals. Let's go with the Uzumaki special then. Water release. Double water dragon twin bullet technique. 2 massive water dragons appeared this time and charged at the fire torrent. After a minute they cancelled out the fire and headed towards Kiba. Whoa. Kiba yelled as he narrowly dodged. But Naruto was instantly upon him. Ice release. Double ice dragon twin bullet technique. He called out as 2 ice dragons spawned and charged Kiba, who once again narrowly dodged. Ice release. Icicle mayhem technique. Naruto called out. The ice dragons exploded into several hundred icicles which then proceeded to bombard Kiba, who was now running around like a headless chicken. Page Booth. What the hell? I roared. How can he pull water out of the atmosphere just like that? And since when did he have a Kekkei Genkai? Sarutobi chuckled. You might as well get used to it, kun. Naruto is full of surprises. Indeed. Besides, it's not like Naruto Taichu only has 1 Kekkei Genkai. Shino said. Then he froze when all eyes were on him. Maybe. I shouldn't have said that. He sweat dropped, to which Hinata facepalmed. Wait, then he has 2 like me? Mei asked, confused. Well. Technically, Naruto Taichu has 3. What? Arena. Heh. Guess we'll have to use that technique after all, Hyakamaru. Kiba said, to which his partner barked. What technique? Naruto was confused. Here we go, Akamaru. Human-beast combination transformation. Werewolf. He said as he and Akamaru fused in a large poof of smoke. Page Booth. Oh. So he finally used it, huh? Tsum smiled. It? Shino inquired. Yeah, that technique is what we've been working on for the past month. Without it I would have written this off as Naruto's victory already. Interesting. Shino said. What is? Tsum inquired. Just now you made it sound like he would actually have a chance against Taicho if he uses this technique. How interesting. Tsum's eyes twitched as she mumbled. Damn Abiram. They always hear the things you don't want them to. I heard that. Shibi said beside her. God damn it. Hana's sweat dropped. Arena. The dust around Kiba and Akamaru settled, revealing a being like none before it. It was tall, almost twice as tall as Naruto, covered in brown fur. Its wrists and ankles along with several patches of fur were white, however. It had a long face with 2 ears on top, but it lacked a tail. Its eyes were glowing green and its teeth were long and looked sharper than most kunai, as did its claws. It opened its mouth slightly. How do you like this, Taicho? The being growled out, its voice coarse like sandpaper. Naruto whistled. Impressive, but intimidation won't help you win this fight, Kiba-kun. Where Kiba's face split into something reminiscent of a smile before he disappeared in a static blur. Not even a second later, he was standing behind Naruto. That was all Naruto managed before he was backhanded across the arena floor. Naruto righted himself into a slide and looked up only to find where Kiba gone. Where'd he go? He felt the werewolf behind him and turned, his arms coming up to block. There was no one behind him, however. Suddenly a fist collided with his unguarded back, sending him flying. Naruto was on the defensive now, where Kiba kept appearing and disappearing, randomly hitting him. At times he would appear, roar at Naruto, and suddenly Naruto would get blown back from a shockwave. Naruto looked up to see the transformed Kiba appear in another static blur. How'd you like that? He seemingly grinned. Say something, Taicho, or are you totally speechless in the face of my awesomeness? I see. Naruto suddenly said. At first I couldn't grasp it. Grasp what? The reason why you could move so fast just because you transformed, it didn't make any sense. Now I get it, however. Eh? The secret isn't your new body. It's the power you gain from it. More specifically, the power to manipulate sound. He saw through it. And with the power of sound, one can turn normal sounds into shockwaves or move at the speed of sound. Like you just did. Naruto smiled as he wiped away some blood from his lip. You've really become strong, so I guess I'll have to take this seriously as well. With that, Naruto blurred out of sight. Where Kiba's eyes widened as he raised his arms, narrowly blocking a drop kick. Naruto smiled as he went up in smoke. Kiba's eyes widened. Page Bunshin. Suddenly, 2 threads of wire appeared and bound him. The large wolf being paled as he heard. High release. Dragon fire technique. High release. Dragon fire technique. The 2 streams of fire trailed along the wire from both left and right, convening on and burning Kiba to a crisp. Naruto looked on as the smoke cleared, revealing a slightly burnt werewolf. TCH, I guess I let my guard down. He growled. Kiba moved again, appearing at Naruto's unguarded left side. He punched Naruto with as much force as possible, but instead of coughing up blood, Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke. From the smoke Naruto appeared flashing through hand seals as another clone went for a kick at Kiba's head. Naruto finished his hand seals. Earth release. Earth-style wall. The large earth wall rose behind Kiba. It was adorned with 4 toad heads. Kiba jumped back to avoid the chakra-enhanced kick from Naruto's clone. The instant his back hit the wall, earth pillars erupted from the sides of the wall and locked him in place. Where Kiba's eyes widened in fear when he heard the familiar sound of birds chirping. He looked up to see Naruto's Chidori-enhanced hand coming towards his heart. As a reflex he closed his eyes. Page Booth. Bei's eyes widened. That technique. That's Hada Kakashi's Chidori. Dust had been whirled up from the impact of the Chidori. Everyone was sitting at the edge of their seats, waiting to see what had happened. Arena. The dust settled almost painfully slowly, revealing that Naruto's hand was lodged into the wall a few inches from Kiba's heart. Naruto smiled at Kiba. First death. Kiba recovered quickly and with a mighty roar, made sound waves explode around him, cutting both Naruto and the wall to pieces. The dead Naruto turned into smoke. Another Kage Bunshin. Kiba thought angrily. Naruto reappeared across from Kiba on the floor of the arena. Why did you redirect that to Chidori? You could have won the match just then. Kiba asked. Well, for one, it wouldn't be as much fun. Besides, I want to see how powerful you really are. Naruto explained. Where Kiba smirked slightly. Then I won't hold anything back at all. He attacked Naruto in a wild frenzy, his claws coming down upon Naruto again and again. Barely noticeably, Naruto was constantly tapping his limbs and body, lightly. Naruto jumped back to make some room between them. You know Kiba-kun, you should work on your sensing skill some more. He smiled. Kiba looked confused. Huh? Naruto made a hand seal, and suddenly pieces of Kiba's fur disappeared, revealing several explosive tags stuck to his body. Kiba's eyes widened. When did he? It was too late however. Boom. Kiba exploded, kicking up dust. When it settled, he looked much worse than before, he was also breathing rather heavily. I see. When you kept lightly tapping me. You were setting the tags on me. Bingo. Kiba growled. He blurred out of sight and appeared at Naruto's side, claws heading to shred Naruto's ribs to pieces. Kiba's hand impacted, shredding Naruto who went up in smoke. Huh. The earth right beneath his feet erupted as Naruto appeared, sending a sharp uppercut to Kiba's jaw, sending his head and neck backwards. Naruto quickly jumped back, a Chidori appearing in his hand. The Chidori grew to twice its normal size before Naruto brought up his other hand and split it into 2. He dashed forward at blinding speeds, tunnel vision kicking in as he slammed the first Chidori into the dazed Kiba's stomach, sending both of them into the air as he kept pushing the Chidori and Kiba forward. They flew across the sky in a large zigzag pattern, lightning trailing after them. Naruto left Kiba hanging in the air as he flew higher into the air. He turned around to face down towards Kiba as he charged the remaining Chidori in his hand with extra lightning chakra. He then fell at incredible speeds, slamming the second Chidori into Kiba's stomach as both of them speeded towards the ground at ridiculous speeds. As they approached the ground, Naruto's second Chidori cut through the lightning that had trailed after the first Chidori, giving credit to the more powerful version's name, Lightning Cutter. They impacted the ground hard, creating a deep crater and kicking up dust. Page Booth. Tsuchikage blinked. Did he just defy the laws of physics and gravity? Who the hell are you to talk, what with your flight technique and all? The Raikage mumbled. That's completely different. My technique is an advanced earth jutsu that takes away the weight and mass of who I wish it to, effectively making them able to fly. This is just plain ignoring physics. The old man ranted. Kuritsuchi sighed as she palmed her face. Way to give away your technique, secret old geezer. Well, at least Naruto Nai-chan held back. If he had gone all out he would probably have killed Kiba-kun. Hinata mused. Shikamaru stared at her. How is that holding back, if I may ask? He inquired. Well, Naruto Nai-chan can use an even more powerful version of the Chidori and Rikiri. It's an S-class. Also, I think if he hadn't powered down his Chidori as well, then Kiba-kun would be dead. So you're saying he's way stronger than what he just showed us? Chaoji asked, chips momentarily forgotten. Indeed. Whoa. Arena. Kiba shakily got up, his chest bleeding rather heavily. He glared at Naruto. You held back. That's low, Taicho. Naruto just smiled at him. Sorry Kiba-kun, but I'd rather not have Hinata-chan kill me after the match for injuring you too badly. Naruto apologized, making everyone sweat drop. Well then, I guess it's time for my strongest technique. Kiba said as he reared back his head, sound waves gathering and compressing at his open mouth. Naruto's eyes widened slightly before narrowing. That's one hell of a move, I'll have to bring that out, he thought. Kiba had finished charging his move and with a mighty roar, sent a compressed beam of sound waves towards Naruto. The tip of the beam looked like a wolf's head. Wolf head moon cannon, he called out his move. Unseen to everyone, Naruto activated his POEMS behind his headband as he went through hand seals and then breathed in deeply. Then he breathed out as he called out his technique. Blaze release. Blaze Dragon Onyx Bullet Technique. He breathed out a gigantic dragon of pure black flames. It was missing one eye, but the other was in the shape of Naruto's PEMS. The two attacks collided in an enormous explosion that blinded everyone. The dust slowly settled, revealing Kiba and Akamaru lying on the ground, burns on their clothes' fur, and looking absolutely beat. Naruto stood over them. Page Booth. Of Doom. Everyone was speechless, except Shino and Hinata. B-Blaze release. What in the world? Temari asked. It's one of Naruto Taicho's Kekkei Genkai. Black flames that will burn for 7 days and 7 nights, extinguishable only by Taicho himself. Shino explained. Yeah. It seems like he banished it before it could do any real damage to Kiba-kun. Hinata said. It was probably his plan from the start to push Kiba-kun to his limits. Sarutobi mused. That would be like him. Shino agreed. Most of the other contestants just blinked at their casual talk about inextinguishable black flames and how Naruto held back. Ei's eyes narrowed suspiciously at the elderly Hokage. Are you sure he's just a genin? Ei smirked. Strong, kind, intelligent and handsome to boot. Nice. Arena. Of Doom. The proctor slowly walked forward, bending down to check on Kiba. We're gonna need a medic team to take care of this kid. Then he stood and announced as loudly as he could. Winner of the first round of the final Chunin exam. Haddock Naruto. The crowd cheered, excited about the awesome match they had borne witness to. Kiba cracked open an eye, looking groggily at Naruto. Damn. So I lost completely, huh? Naruto's eyes smiled. I wouldn't say the Kiba-kun. Naruto raised his arm, revealing a long gash going from his wrist to his elbow. Kiba's eyes widened. I did that. Naruto grinned at him. Yup. You've really grown strong, Kiba-kun. This'll heal in a few minutes, but it'll leave a permanent scar. You've finally done it. You managed to permanently wound me, so from now on I'll see you as my equal in combat. Kiba's grin couldn't have been wider as he slowly passed out, his 2 other teammates and his sensei all grinning widely as well. Naruto Shunshin led to the cage booth after persistently refusing any kind of medical attention, saying he'd be fine in a minute or two. His team greeted him upon arrival. That was a splendid match, Naruto Taichu. You didn't even have to use that or your sword for that matter. Naruto grinned. Yeah, I've done some heavy-duty training over the month in order to strengthen my more lacking areas. Shino raised an eyebrow. You had lacking areas? He questioned, a hint of amusement in his voice. Naruto just stuck out his tongue at him. Well, at least you aren't a monster loser anymore, Sasuke said as he walked up to Naruto. Oh, careful Sasuke, that almost sounded friendly. He grinned at his longtime friend. Arena. Will Temari and Naiyujito please step into the arena so that the second match of the Chunin exams can begin? The proctor said. Page booth. The 2 blondes glared at each other as they walked towards the stairs down into the arena. Naruto smiled brightly at both of them. Good luck and try not to kill each other. Temari huffed but smiled and walked down the stairs. As Yujito tried to pass Naruto, his arm shot up, locking onto her arm, instantly paralyzing her whole body, unknown to everyone. He whispered into her ear. If you're going to use the Nibi's power, do it in moderation. I would hate to have to put you down, Miss Nai. And then he smiled again, letting her walk past her, her face a wall of stone. The second she made it down the first set of stairs, however, she clutched her chest, breathing heavily. What the hell was that? That malicious feeling. It didn't feel like Kyuubi. It was definitely human. But it was so cold. That was his killing intent, kitten. That boy, to have such a cold and true killing intent at his age. Most likely, he has been close enough to death to see the Shinigami itself. And there were traces there, familiar traces. Familiar traces. It's nothing, kitten. Get to the arena, you have a sandy ass to kick. A rather delicious, well-shaped ass. Nibi. Yujito blushed and hurried into the arena. The large cat, however, wasn't smiling at all inside her cage. I've felt that before. That was the same feeling. As when the old man got angry. Less powerful by far, but still. Haddock Naruto. No, Uzumaki Naruto. Could you possibly be? Arena. Vegito and Tamari faced off in the half-destroyed arena, both completely in their ninja mode. The proctor raised his hand lazily. Second match, start. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Turn on that bell notification. Like, subscribe and comment down below. And also check out the others videos I have created and enjoyed it. See you guys next video.